the trophy of a lifetime. Oh, yes!
Better one. We'll show you that maneuver in one moment.
There's the fight. It's a bad though.
What it means is num-num time.
Cool was that?
That was awesome. That's what they call awesome, buddy, right there.
Hi, everybody. Well, we told you, we promised you that today was going to be a reunion of sorts. We asked Brother Reno to join us. And obviously, based on what you just saw, you know we were successful in being able to bring him out of the archives.
You know what? That old intro sounds so weird. It says Angelo Viola, or Reno Viola, Angelo Viola, and Pete Bowman. It just sounds wrong. I shouldn't even been there. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
It just doesn't sound right. The Viola, and Bowman. It just doesn't.
Didn't we have a clip? Didn't we have a clip one time? Viola, and Bowman. There was a little clip that for a commercial or something.
No, we've had lots of them.
Oh my God, we're going to see some of those clips today.
Yeah.
Our team has been busy for the last couple of days when we first came up with the notion that Reno was going to be on. So they've been scouring the archives. Thank God everything is digitized and we have access to all of it. And we've got some clips today. I got a couple of glimpses earlier on.
I was laughing so hard. That brings up a good point, Ange, to the people that are watching. From all our old fans to current fans, a lot of that old footage that we have or had is all non-HD. And it's all and a lot of that is gone. Like our raw footage is all gone. Believe it or not, it's unfortunate. So hopefully, through time, our guys have grabbed some of the footage and put it onto, saved it and then kind of made it into HD as best they could, but a lot of that's gone. So luckily our archives still have some of that stuff available, but it's been a real process trying to keep our old footage going and then to fit it into the new stuff. That's almost impossible to the look of it. You can really tell. So anyways, just let them know that's still there.
We've gone through 3 transitions, right?
Yeah.
We've gone from the original 3/4 inch version to the Betacam version to digital. So
exactly
three generations. Anyways, let's move along. Let's do what we're supposed to do, right?
Let's bring in that bad boy right now.
Yeah,
I love that idea. If he's here, maybe he's not here.
He's here. I think he's here. I think Steven's having a hard time pushing the buttons there. Here he comes.
Bingo!
I'm just wiping my eyes. I had tears come to my eyes.
We were supposed to have a 3 Blind Mice intro. I guess there you go. Better late than never. Okay, Steven, you had your shot, buddy. You blew it.
Some technical problems.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, how are you? I'm happy to be here. Let's get something festive rather than 3 Blind Mice and stuff. Let's talk about 30 years of fishing Canada, right? That's what we're here to talk about.
First of all, we wanted. There you go, Steven. You got it, buddy. Curly, Larry, and Mo. That's what.
I know the Mo was always the boss, so that's fine.
You got that right.
Like he's trying to be now.
I'm good. I'm good with it.
How you doing, guy?
I'm doing good. And you guys?
Well, we're hunkered down like everybody else. It's been a challenge. We're trying to figure out what this crazy year is going to look like. Looking into the crystal ball, pretty hard to do right now. But we haven't lost our spirit. We're having fun with this stuff that we're doing here on the site and on this platform. The podcasting is going well. You know what? It is what it is, as they say, right?
Not bad for a passing fad, huh?
We're all healthy, and that's the main thing. And you look like you're on top of your game.
I hate to say this, but the weight problem hasn't been very kind to me, being locked in. Yeah, but normally we're locked in anyway. But now that we're on this kick of bringing in food, continuously having it delivered so we don't run out, you bring in a lot of new goodies and you're eating more. So I put on some beef.
What you're saying is you're like that big old pike that's sitting post-spawn sitting at the river mouth waiting for all that good stuff to come flowing out of
All
the
that
river.
decayed stuff, that white decaying stuff, just come on in over here and boom, ka-chunk. Remember that?
So you're saying you have a lack of control, is what you're saying.
I've always had a lack of control. I love
You've never denied it, have you?
You know, most people, I have no control about anything, though. Okay, so let's be perfectly clear about this. When food takes over, it takes over. When sleep takes over, it takes over. There's only one thing that I can't override. Anyway, I'll leave that one alone. But yeah, I'm chunkier. I'm healthy. I think I'm healthy.
You look good, buddy. You look amazing. You look younger than ever.
Thank you. Thank you.
No,
You look wonderful too, my friend.
Well,
and remember, it's always better to look good than to feel good. So
absolutely, you can fool them with that one, right?
Absolutely.
What have you been doing? What have you been doing in your retirement time from Fishing Canada, at least?
Got a little bit of a cold. I don't think it's COVID though.
You better not be. At least we got our distance here.
You know what? I'm serious. During the little intro,
yeah,
the old montage, I actually had tears in my eyes.
Nice.
It just brought back a bunch of memories. Yeah. It was good.
Have you been fishing in these last bunch of years? Let's say, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, the last couple, no. The last 2 years, I went on this kick where I wanted to get rid of everything that. Well, we were moving. We moved from like a property that you could store stuff on to basically condo style living. Yeah. And so to have a boat is kind of hard. So I got rid of my boats. I got rid of all my fishing tackle. I got rid of all that. And I was really fortunate because I living on Lake St. Francis in Cornwall. It was easy for me to just pick up and go with a buddy and go fishing. And we did lots of that. And you guys know how good that lake is.
Oh yeah.
And then what I did now, I moved to Kingston in January of this year. And now I'm even more, I mean, I know that Lake St. Francis is wonderful and it's fishable almost everywhere, every day. But Kingston is still in my heart as far as smallmouth bass and largemouth bass is concerned. So I was kind of looking forward to this year to actually getting out on Lake Ontario. And we'll see we'll see where it goes. But yes, we're going fishing. The love for fishing is still there. I may not obviously do it as often. And I'm not up to the trends either. So, what for me in my mind, what works, what doesn't work. And I don't have the camera or a camera crew to satisfy. It's me. So they don't bite.
In other words, nothing's changed, Reno. Since when have you been working to satisfy anybody else?
You're absolutely right.
Hey, listen, before we move on, I just want to acknowledge one of our longtime members of the Fishing Canada team, Rick DeLishny's on, and he made a great observation. He says, how appropriate you guys are playing Three Blind Mice, and all three of you have got glasses now.
By the way, I meant to say that. I paid a lot of money to have your eyes fixed.
Good point.
What the hell happened to that?
You know what? That's a good point. You know what? Angelo and I got laser surgery years ago, and it worked great for a while, but eventually all good things come to an end, I guess. And now we need glasses. I need glasses for close and far, even though I had surgery. Now maybe there's something different now out there, but I need them for this to see the screen here, the computer screen, and I do need them for distance too. So that laser surgery, as good as it was temporary for me anyway. And you?
When you guys say temporary, it still lasted 20 some odd years.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Well, not only that, but as far as distance goes, I'm great, and I know Pete is as well. And that was what the surgery was for, right? But as we got older, obviously, the near sight problem crept in, as they told us it was going to. We were one of the very first people, by the way, in our circles who even had that laser surgery was cutting edge when we did it. I don't even remember what year it was, but it was
whatever year the radio show started. I forget what that was.
Well, that's 25 years ago, Reno.
Okay, that first year was it, because when I say it cost me lots of money, basically I was the guy who traded the time on the radio show for your surgery. And so that's the timing on that.
Right. So you used us, as usual, you used us as slave labor, and you sold us.
Well, I figured the worst that could happen, you'd be blind when you come out of this thing. That's the worst thing.
Meanwhile, you got a new customer for radio.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So how does it? Crap happens, right? So it happens.
That's right.
Anyway, you guys survived it well, I guess.
No worries. And by the way, Reno, go back to the Kingston thing. One very quick note. You're talking about smallmouth and largemouth there, but there's a fantastic walleye fishery there too, right out of Kingston in the summertime, trolling the channels and that. It's unbelievable out there. Like
Really?
these walleyes that come, the ones that go in the Bay of Quinte in the fall and all that.
Yeah.
They're all throughout that whole Amherst Island area. So you want to get onto something different, try the walleye in the summer out of Kingston. And they're big.
Well, we always wondered, Pete, we had a conversation about these fish that are coming into the Bay of Quinte are coming from somewhere. So they summer someplace else.
That's right.
And so and the lake is huge. As soon as you get out of that, the chute there, the lake is just hundreds of miles wide. It's just not hundreds of miles, but 35, 40 miles deep. So they've got a lot of water they can be in. And imagine the numbers of walleye that must be out there. It's probably scary. You're right, though. I've never fished for them, but probably
I saw a study on Quinte walleye, the big girls that come in and spawn. So one fish went in to, I believe it was the Trent River or somewhere in that area, came back out of the Bay of Quinte through the Adolphus Reach into Lake Ontario, traveled to Hamilton Harbor. This is a walleye. Came all the way back and then stayed somewhere around Lake Ontario out in front of the Adolphus again. Hamilton Harbor, that fish went from Belleville or Trenton.
That's scary. That's actually, that's great information for people wondering how far these fish actually travel. That's a really good mind visual. Yeah. Normally we say they go 27 miles. What's 27 miles? Whereas Hamilton Harbor is a chunk of change away from us.
A long ways away. You know what I mean? So these fish are weird. I heard another report one time when I was fishing Eagle Lake. I talked to the lodge owner there, the head guide actually there, and there was a muskie that was electronically tracked, that a female muskie that traveled either 13 or 18 kilometers every day to feed and then come back to her living area. So fish move. It might be the odd, it might be the exception to the rule, but they move. That's
wow. Reading some of the comments here, boys. Let's see if we can answer some of these questions. First of all, there's I guess maybe it was prompted by the word Mo on the screen. Somebody else wants to know, when is Mo coming back? John Couture wants to know. Well, as I said last week, we're in shutdown mode on Mo right now, so we'll keep you apprised of that one as things go. Things get cleared up a little bit for all of us, but right now it is definitely on hold. I'm going to give you a Doug Ford answer. We're doing the best we can, but we cannot give you a definitive answer as to when. How's that?
There wasn't enough pauses in your answer there.
What's that?
I said there wasn't enough pauses in your answer.
Oh, yes, I have to 3 words at a
delivery.
By the way,
look who's on screen right now, right? Sorry, look who's on screen, not screen, on the comments. Stevie Franklin, our good friend Stevie Franklin.
Hey, Stevie, how you doing, brother?
Oh my God.
He goes, great format, love you and miss you. However, Steve lives just down the road from me on the island, Wolf Island.
He can't love you that much.
No, and I tried to call him 2 or 3 times. He doesn't call back. He just he said,
the pandemic.
We have a voicemail to take voicemail. If it's urgent, then I'll call you back. And, he did. He came over and visit one day, but he's more elusive than any politician that you would have, and he's got nothing to hide. But he's more elusive than any politician that you would ever want to chase down.
Reno,
everything well.
He lived 5 houses away from me for years, and we only saw each other like twice. So.
He wants to know if we're planning a trip down to New Brunswick again soon. We're planning trips for everything soon, as soon as we can get out of this mess we're in. We love coming down to New Brunswick. It's an absolute blast. Muskie fishing, especially since we discovered it a couple of years ago that you guys had that gem down there. You're going to be hard pressed to keep Pete and I away from that area for sure.
Speaking of muskie, Ange, did you see that Handlebars fishing there? He says, we have a tagged muskie that went from Lake St. Clair. Sorry, I missed it. St. Clair to Buffalo Harbor and back again. It actually did it twice.
Wow.
So
they moved.
That is so
cool. Move. I know, because every time I go fish for them, they've moved. So they moved.
Well, the 2 of you, all you have to do is go see Ryan Flero. That's all you have to do.
That's true. We will say that. But
by the way, speaking of which, but I have to make a comment here, Peter. You look like a Garmin ad today, and that beautiful backdrop that you've got, and the beautiful Garmin colors and shirt. Look at you.
Well,
Are you selling that today or not?
When you look like this right here, then they you got to take advantage of the situation, right?
No, you look like a Greek god today. I got to tell you.
I may not be a Brad Pitt, but I'm pretty close to a Brad's armpit. How's that?
All right. So today's program is not what we would normally do. We're going to go down memory lane today. Okay. We have a perfect reason to take us down memory lane, and we haven't gone down memory lane in a long time. But with Big Brother Reno here, we want to start talking about the old days of Fishing Canada and the Fishing Canada show, the whole Fishing Canada history. A lot of you through the years, ask us, how did this whole thing get started? And today you're going to get the not condensed version, the long version of how this whole story began. And maybe we can play the opening intro again, Stephen.
Please.
Maybe.
Stephen.
Here he comes. He's got it. The Fishing Canada Show. With your hosts, Reno Viola, Angelo Viola, and Pete Bowman.
Now there's a trophy of a lifetime. Oh.
There's one. We'll show you that maneuver in one moment.
There's the fight. It's a bad though.
What it means is num-num time.
So, actually, that is not the original opening, but it's close enough. I think we have one prior to that. Do we not, guys?
Yeah, you'd have one
before
I was there, right?
Yeah, yeah. But so the three of us started out just actually before that, Reno and I started out for a season. Although Pete seemed
he was right there the first season. The end, in the middle of the first season, he was there. So
he was always there, wasn't he? He's been lingering.
Like a bad smell. It's always bringing it out.
Exactly.
I knew where to pitch my jig, boys. That's all I can say.
So what we're going to try and do is we're going to walk down memory lane. If you've got any questions that might come up regarding the historical part of the brand and maybe about Big Brother Reno, we'll be more than happy to stop and answer those questions. All of the other questions that you have regarding fishing and stuff, we're going to deal with those on Tuesday because Tuesdays are Q&A days. But today is kind of a laid back walking down memory lane, and we've got a couple of clips that we'd like to share with you from, I don't know what order they're in, and you'll have to excuse us, by the way. Working remotely as a production crew is not the easiest thing in the world.
It's very hard.
You'll have to excuse us if things don't quite come up on the screen the way I think they should, but that's the way it is. Not sure what order we're in, but we're going to start off with a clip right now, if we could, Stephen.
Oh my God.
What the fuck was that? May look like they shouldn't work as well as real bait, but real bait, of course, feels real, smells real, tastes real. Yeah, I know. Instinctive?
Yeah, last time was aggressive.
Okay.
Right.
Did I say instinctive? I mean, I'm just trying to fill in fucking words. I'm not even listening to what I'm talking about. Look at it. Real natural. Smells nice and fresh. Beautiful, fresh herring. What a catch. Herring. Look at this thing. Beautiful. It's fresh. And it'll catch fish like dynamite. And go with the real thing. This thing is going to work like dynamite. The real thing. This bait is just dynamite. Look at it. Nice and fresh. It'll catch fish until we're blue in the face. Or will it? Well, live bait or real bait that we're using today should be the advantage that... Fuck off! Pete will be using a live cut plug herring, you son of a bitch!
Tell it, that's all you have to say! Pardon the language, as they say.
Let me jump in here. My editing team screwed up totally this morning, okay? I told them to cut all that out. I leave the one F-bomb in there at the very first. I said, stop it at 116. They started it at 116 and left all the F-bombs in there. So editing team, you're in shit. for all the swears. Okay.
If you talk to your boss there, he told me to play it like that.
That could have been my fault because I thought you said started at 116.
Oh my God! Well, somebody's not listening, anyways. No big deal. So
the reason that we wanted to use that clip because last week somebody had talked about during the pandemic, and you guys are doing these live events. Maybe you should resurrect Little Lake, and I thought, wow. Maybe what we should do is resurrect some of the scenes when we were shooting Little Lake, and that was one of them. That backdrop, of course, was all part of that Little Lake set that we had, this very elaborate set. And, well, Reno was the only one who had a difficult time sometimes with lines, believe me. But because he's here today, why not pick on him?
And you know what? We're getting good comments on the side. People have no problem with the F-bombs. They're loving it. They're saying it's real. It's and it is. That's exactly what I mean. Everybody that, no matter what you see on TV, if there's outtakes or whatever, we don't see 99% of that stuff, right? And there's swear words in every one of them. So we're real people. So that I'm glad that everybody's accepting that, no problem. So it's good.
It wasn't intentional. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know the problem with that, of course, these people don't know. They think that we're like.
Did you say these people?
Huh?
Did you say these people?
And I meant these people. Okay, I meant exactly that. These people, the ones that are watching.
Boy, Reno.
These people. Okay, you don't understand what we do. You see on television, especially a year later, you see the cleaned up version of what it is that we do. And the reason I was having such a problem, first off, I'm never good at scripts. I hate scripts. I don't follow them. I can't follow them. I don't even know how to spell script. That's how bad it is. But you know, like usual, our illustrious leader, production leader, we'll leave him nameless for now, doesn't like to start things until it's already 3/4 of the way through the day. So we had to set up the set. We had to get the scripts going. We had to do whatever the hell it was. It was 2:30 in the morning when we're trying to do that. We hadn't eaten because he doesn't eat. So Peter doesn't like to eat. I don't like to eat, apparently. So all of that stuff leads to disasters like that. Now, in all due respect, I'm horrible at script. So it doesn't matter. It could have been 9 o'clock in the morning. I still would have been the same way. But the point is, these guys, you know, on a real production, they work for about 15 minutes. Their head is fresh. Their script is them. There's nothing else going on around them. They've been well fed. They've been in the green room watching TV. They're a real production. Okay, we're an outdoor production that is cutting corners and trying to make stuff work 24 hours a day. And obviously, that didn't work.
See,
Peter.
That's the beauty. Right? That's the beauty right there. That's classic Reno. That's the beauty. Right? We gave you the shovel. We showed you the dirt, and you just start digging yourself in there. Right?
I think he was pretty honest in there. I like what he said. There's no digging there.
Here we go.
Let me tell you, both of you guys.
By the way, stop.
Let me tell you guys. Okay.
Stop right there. Mr. Bowman is doing exactly what he's done for the better part of 40 years. Okay,
yeah,
he is the stick. He is the stick in the proverbial through the bars into the bear, and then he sits back and he enjoys it all.
Okay,
right.
You see what Angelo's doing right now, Reno? He's picking on everybody else. He's putting all those out there so they don't back at him.
Exactly. Listen to me.
All right, you're up.
You know, Peter is the best liked of all three of us. Let's not hide that fact at all, okay? Because he's a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. You're certainly not a nice guy, okay? So, without question. So, Peter is the most liked by the audience, by the fan. And he's just well liked because he's a nice guy. But Peter's also a person who doesn't like confrontation. And by the way, I don't like it either, but I do it. And so he's going to agree with everything, especially you're his boss, for God's sakes. Of course he's going to agree. And besides, you're not asking him anything impossible. You're not asking him to jump off a bridge or anything. So he's going to agree, or he's going to agree with me, or he's going to agree with somebody else. But Peter's an agreeable, nice person. You and I are not.
What are you saying? Wait. Are you saying he's wishy-washy?
Huh?
Are you saying he's like wishy-washy? Are you saying he doesn't have his own opinion or personality? Like you're portraying him as a very weak.
No, not at all.
Limber.
No, Not in the least. I'm going to tell you what, a big part of the success of the Fishing Canada show is Peter Bowman and his personality. So you and it should have rubbed off on us a bunch of years ago, and it didn't. I guess we got a hard head. I don't know why it didn't.
By the way,
one thing I'm forever, okay? And folks listening to this is the truest thing. You'll never marry somebody with the expectation of changing them, because that'll never happen. You don't change personalities, okay? That's his personality. This is my personality. And yes, even you, that is your personality.
Here. And by the way, just to let you guys know, I did jump off a bridge for Angelo Viola one time. It was in New Zealand, if you remember correctly, mister.
Yes, you did.
341 feet for the bridge, okay? Just to let you know. Hey, we got Will Wegman on there.
Hey, Will, how you doing, brother?
But he's saying we have a professional production, and I've been in your studio filming whitefish segments of your show. Yeah, and you know what? We managed to clean up our act when we bring in guests from outside.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I do have to throw something out there. Will is absolutely right, and I'll tell you why he can make those statements. Because Will came in after you left the show. So at that time, we'd already cleaned up our act and we became a little more professional. So, Will, you're absolutely correct, brother. I agree.
Okay, I got to say one thing. I got to go on the record. Okay, you know what? You're probably right, but thank God, okay, that we didn't, make the set into a party. In other words, we didn't drink, we didn't have beers, we didn't have alcohol. Thank God, because it would have turned into a shit show for sure.
Not that it didn't from time to time, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Clear.
That's right. Absolutely.
There's John Kuchera says, why did Reno leave the show anyways? It was a question.
Yeah, John, there's 2 or 3 different versions of that, and you know what? It's water under the bridge. And I really, you know what? In real life, I'm a mover, and I like to do new things. And so it was probably time for me to move anyway. And then Angelo and I had a disagreement. Let's be clear about this. It's over and it's done.
I'm glad you made that comment, though, because you're right. And Peter and I probably fall into that category of slow and methodical, and you fall into the category of the hare that wins the race. And I think after, 20 years or so, it might have started to wear a little thin, and you got impatient waiting for us to catch up to you because you were way ahead. And it is what it is. And
I don't know what it is, why exactly what happened. It doesn't matter. It is in the past. But the pressure you guys know us, all 3 of us, as the fishing guys. And quite frankly, that's on screen, that's who we are. However, nobody in Canada gets paid just to fish. It just doesn't exist. So we all have other jobs within the organization that we have to do. And to me, mine was the one with the most amount of pressure and the most amount of non-gratitude. And I don't need gratitude because I'm a tough guy, but every once in a while you need some more wins than what you're getting. And in sales, I was the guy selling advertising. So I was selling advertising during the recession when people were trying to cut back on advertising, and I was still expected to feed all the mouths. And so, you know what, that gets to you a little bit. And that's probably one of my problems, because I'd like to move to different jobs. So I lasted 20 years almost there. And then I went someplace else. I became a mortgage broker, and I'm loving what I'm doing. So there's no ill feelings, and we speak like this openly all the time anyway. So
I got to tell you, Peter, I know you've got a bunch of things you'd like to bring up too, but before you do, I just have to I have to say this one thing about trying to get a snapshot of Reno and his tenacity and how hard he worked and how important he was to the brand. And nothing, I think nothing tells that story any better than the story about CBC and how we ended up getting on CBC. So I'm just going to take a minute and then throw it out there. We had been on Global for a couple of years, but Global was just a station, not a network. And so Reno was he was obsessed with getting the Fishing Canada show on a network. And at that time, there was no cable, there was no Sportsnet, there was no TSN, there was no Outdoor Channel, there was none of that stuff. We had, what did we have, 14 channels, I think, guys, at the time that we started on TV. So he was continually calling every possible independent station in the country, trying to put together piecemeal a network. And one of the stations that he continued, and he was a badger, is the only way I can describe Reno. For any of you who have had any dealings with Reno throughout the years, you know that he is a pit bull. When he locks his teeth into something, you have to cut the jaw off in order to relieve the pressure. So he's calling all of these stations from coast to coast every day, harassing those poor programmers into putting on the Fishing Canada program. And most often than not, he was getting no's, but it didn't stop him from continuing down that road. One gentleman in particular that he was annoying on a daily basis was a program director of a small British Columbia station, a CBC affiliate station. And his name was Ron Devion. It'd be great if he was listening today, by the way. But anyways, so he kept talking to this guy every day, and every day the guy was saying, hey, listen, I'm a small regional British Columbia station. You guys don't shoot that much in BC. It doesn't make sense to have your program on my station. But Reno didn't hear that. He just kept badgering this guy to the point where a couple of years later, this guy became the program director for CBC Network. And the rest of the story, you know, because of Reno's tenacity and continually pestering this guy and actually becoming friends with him, we got on CBC Network. And that really propelled our careers and our brand into the fishing community, because all of a sudden we went not just national, we went into every household in this country for the next 5 years and became a household word. And it's all thanks to this guy that just is tenacious, is the only way I can describe it. And people like that, you know, I won't say that they've got a shelf life, but they wear themselves out. And that's what I think happened in Reno's case with the Fishing Canada show. He was the frontline guy. He was the guy who made everything work. Pete and I did our thing. Yeah, it was all well and good, but he was the guy who made this whole thing come together. And for that, Reno, we will be forever in your debt.
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you. You guys forgot a big important part of that, though, is we almost went bankrupt before Ron Devion.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. They all, you know, it's great to be on television, but it is such an expensive business to be in that we almost went bankrupt. We were almost bankrupt. Thank God for Ron Devion that saved us. Okay, but the reason he saved us was because he liked what was on screen. So he would see us do salmon shows in Ontario, and he'd see Pete doing walleye shows, and Pete's like a likable guy. I'm telling you, he's a big asset. So he liked Pete. He just didn't want to show Pete on British Columbia television, and so he kept telling me no. But then all of a sudden he became the national program director, and now he's got to look after from Newfoundland right to Vancouver and all the stations. And all of a sudden, our type of fishing, bass fishing, walleye fishing, salmon fishing, the Great Lakes, all that kind of stuff started to make sense. And as soon as he moved, okay, well, hang on, the program director at CBC in Toronto at that time, because we had become the national director, we had become verbal friends. And he said, hey, I have got bad news for you. I'm leaving in 2 weeks. And I'm being replaced by, and he said, Ron Devion. And I'm going to tell you frankly, I almost crapped my pants as soon as it happened, because I knew any chance that we had of going on national television through CBC was dead. This guy had been telling me no for 18 months for British Columbia. So now he's going to tell me yes. Well, 2 weeks later, guess what? Guy got no hair, no nothing inside here. 2 weeks later, I called him, got through to him, and I says, hi, Mr. Devion, you may remember me. Oh, she said, I'm so happy you called me. She said, I forgot your number. I'm so happy you called me. I want your program. Wow. So I went from almost crapping my pants to totally crapping my pants, that we had finally made it to CBC. And thank God, because that's what made us be able to not go bankrupt and succeed to the next level. So that was the break that we needed. That was the break. We got it, and that's what we took advantage of. And by the way, I saw a little comment here that said, I forget, it's further up the comment here, but it said, he thought I quit. The gentleman thinks I quit because of Mike Miller. Nothing could be further from the truth. Mike and I are still good friends. We're all good friends. And that fight that you saw us during the other reality show that we tried to do, it was staged. I mean, most reality shows are staged, and that was staged. It was a stage. It wasn't staged word for word, but we were supposed to get upset at each other. And of course, I'm good at embellishing things. And so I fired him on the air. But Mike and I are still good friends. Mike Miller is a good guy. So
we all have good memories with Mikey Miller, about Mikey Miller. As a matter of fact, I just watched one of our YouTube shows. If you guys want to see a laugh with Mike Miller, look up on Fishing Canada YouTube, the Detroit River Walleye Show. And about 6 minutes in, I looked at it last night. I just found it last night. And you're going to see a scene in that show where Mikey and I are on there, and he is in hilarious laughing mode, and that was pretty much Mike Miller all the time. So we were still good with Mike all the time. Just let everybody know he's an awesome guy. So
was not the funniest scene that we ever put on television? Was it not a scene with Miller and Reno?
Yes,
where Reno showed him his missing toe.
Oh,
that's
available. We got to look for that. If it's not on YouTube, we got to get that on, because
I almost died of a heart attack.
Oh,
I almost died of a heart attack laughing so hard in the boat with Mike.
Yeah.
That was back in the day when we were just starting to shoot the reality version. I don't even remember what we call it, FNC, whatever we called it.
Yeah.
So that was the first show of us not actually being on camera speaking to the audience. It was just a couple of guys out fishing and talking however we wanted to talk. So it didn't really matter. The dialogue didn't matter. So we were making up whatever. You just speak like a couple of guys in the boat. Well, I thought I needed to get a little laugh. And since I've got a toe missing on one foot from a construction accident years ago, Mike never knew. And so I started to tell Mike, and of course he didn't believe me. And then she looked down at my sandal, and my sandal was covering up the toe that was missing. And I took the sandal off, and he saw it, and his eyes opened up like that. He was truly surprised. And then I told him, well, I got bit on my fish. Of course, that turned into another story. Anyway, we started laughing so hard we couldn't stop. And literally for 20, 25 minutes, he and I were laying in the bottom of the boat laughing, and we couldn't stop. And I thought, seriously, I was going to have a heart attack. But it was funny. If you ever get a chance to see that, do yourself a favor, because it'll make you laugh.
Yeah, we got to dig that one up. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to try and dig that one up. Now that Angelo reminded us of that was such a good classic piece of reality out on the water and how much fun we can have. So
that to me is still one of the funniest Fishing Canada moments of all time, because I was a spectator and just watching the whole thing unfold, and the camera guys got it from start to finish. Normally they don't shoot everything in between the fishing scenes, but for some reason, does anybody remember, one of you two guys remember who the cameraman was on that?
No, it might have been Dent. I think it might have been Dent.
I think it was Dent. Yeah, I think it was Dent. Anyways, he had, for whatever reason, he had the fortitude to stick it out and let that camera roll it. And we got to find it. It is the funniest, most hilarious moment in the Fishing Canada history for sure.
There you go. That's our job for this week. Okay.
One of the other things that I think we've got a couple of clips of them as well. One of the other things that we used to do a lot of back then was commercials. Not that we don't do many now, but we seem to do a lot more very personal, in-your-face kind of commercials back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. The ones that come to mind most for me, I don't know about you guys, but the ones that I seem to just can't get them out of my mind were all those wonderful Muskol commercials that we did.
Oh, yeah.
And out of them, I mean, there was a whole series of them. I think we did a total of, if I'm not mistaken, we did 9 individual Muskol commercials. But the one that comes to mind, and I don't know whether we've got it queued up or not, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways, was the Lost Lake commercial of you and I in the tent, Reno.
Yeah, at Jimmy Rogers' place. Yeah, I get that.
You remember that?
That was shot. That was shot in mid-Florida, in the middle of summer, inside a building.
That's right.
That's right too.
I don't know whether Steve
Our good
got that one, but
the late
probably.
Jimmy Rogers, but that was
Oh, here it is.
The Call of the Wild, where legends are told.
Just then, the two little boys discovered that they had both forgotten to bring the muskol. Now it was too late. They're being chased across the chilly waters of Lost Lake by the bug. Bug! Muskol!
When you answer the Call of the Wild, don't forget your muskol.
that was cool. That was a commercial.
Oh my God, that's a great memory.
They don't make them like that anymore, as they say.
Oh my God. Luigi says that's a classic. It was an absolute classic.
Again, you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
Indoors?
Huh?
A shot indoors, that one right there?
The Jimmy Rogers warehouse.
Yeah.
There.
The part of us inside the tent was shot indoors, yeah.
Okay, the other, yeah. Now I remember.
Was shot outdoors.
Yeah, okay.
It was cool. It was a great moment.
Yeah.
I will never forget that. We had lots of great moments. How about fishing trips? People are always asking us, what's your favorite fishing trip or favorite experience? And I know that there's one that all three of us have used a million times. Although, I have to tell you, I don't think it was part of a Fishing Canada shoot. I think it was an outdoor journal shoot, if I'm not mistaken. But you guys will correct me. And that was.
Yes, we will. We will correct you.
Oh, I know you will. And that was the Amazon shoot.
Oh yeah, that was outdoor journal.
Oh my God, that was the best trip ever. And it wasn't Fishing Canada. You're right. It was Outdoor Journal. There's not, you cannot replace. We went there several times. So I'm presuming we're talking about the same one with the treehouse, with the houseboat, with the bats flying around and the little green frogs. Right? That's the one we're talking about.
That's the one. And the catfish part was the part that just we've got it queued up. We're going to see it here in a minute, but you know, I hadn't seen this scene for a long time, and instantly it drew me back the 20, 25, 30 years, whatever length of time ago it was, and it instantly drew me back to that moment, and I experienced the whole thing over again. It was absolutely outstanding, and especially the energy and the excitement that was in the air while we were shooting this. Not only with you and I, Reno, but the whole crew, because there was so much unknown, so much what is going to happen next.
You see, and you're right. But see, I also remember different parts of that. Okay, and I mean, remember we were in a section of the Amazon that is Portuguese. There was Portuguese speaking, and the host was Portuguese, and so we had. Best thing I can think of is a tree hut where we were living and sleeping in, and then the eating quarters were far away. And every night we ate chicken bones or probably buzzard bones, more likely. But the part that I remember most, it was to do with food. But in the morning, Angelo and I were Italian, so we were. My mother used to boil milk. And on top of the milk, the cream would come up to the top. And of course, Angelo and I, in our childhood, we used to fight over that cream because we liked it, that we were raised for that. And so it was wonderful. And we hadn't seen it for like 20 years. And the lady in the Amazon from Portugal, European, I mean, the same thing. That's how they sterilize their milk. So every morning for the Americans and Canadians that were there in camp, she wanted to treat us, you know, like Americans and Canadians with warm milk. And so she would boil this milk in this pot. And on top of that, all the cream would rise and it'd be really thick and gooey and stuff. Okay. And I got to it first one morning and Bowman was right there with me. And he saw me eating some of that stuff. And he said, "What the frig are you doing?" Because he's a lily white ass guy. He's never seen that before.
It was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen anybody eat at that time. It was literally, it is scum. It looks like scum off the top of milk, like stuff that should be thrown out and thrown away. And these guys, they fight over it. Honestly, it was disgusting.
Let's there's so many memories from that trip, but let's show the clip of that giant.
Hey, Angelo. Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say beforehand, just to let everybody know, we were doing some piranha fishing, everything with rods and reels, and then we went to cat fishing with rods and reels, and then they said, "Okay, you guys done with all your Canadian stuff? Okay, now we're going to show you guys how to catfish." So now you can go to the clip, Stephen. Just to start up.
Reno and I have shot well over 300 episodes of the Fishing Canada show together, but it's one that never made it to air that's my highlight. It was our very first trip to the Amazon River. Having already shot an episode earlier in the week for peacock bass, we turned our attention to another member of this exotic neighborhood, South American catfish. We had absolutely no idea what to expect, other than the fact that they were big and they were bad. The locals filled our heads with stories of these giant marauding man-eating cats that frequently sucked down one of the village children while they played in the shallow reaches of the Amazon banks. As if that wasn't enough to get us cranked, the method used to catch these monsters definitely was. It can only be described as fishing mano a mano. Suspend a chunk of rancid goat meat on a 6-inch hook tied to an 8-foot piece of rope and drift it under a plastic jug and let the current drag it downriver until it starts moving upstream. That part we got. What to do next, we couldn't quite understand.
That time I tried. Told you to be careful. This thing could be a... Where'd it go now? This is not sports fishing, but it sure is sport. Yeah, but it could also be 40 pounds.
I have felt 20 pounds.
He's 5 feet away from you.
It's not 20.
5 feet away from you, okay? 5 feet.
If I could tie it onto something.
I don't. Well, hang on. Don't grip by the short. I mean, you got a hold of him now.
Oh my God!
Okay, we know what he is. Put your feet up against.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
You don't have to tail him now.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and tail him.
Yeah. Got it.
Well, I got him, but
Okay, hold on good.
I can't, Edge. He's gonna thrash everything in the boat, though, Edge. No, Edge, you'll thrash everything. You'll thrash everything, Edge. You'll kill us. You know he's gonna break some more other reels in here.
Say something.
Okay. Watch.
Hold it, mate. Watch out. Is that the wildest thing you've ever seen in your life? Reno, watch out. You got it?
This is crazy, guys.
Now that's my big brother Reno.
Wow. Unbelievable.
The adrenaline that was flowing in that boat was beyond. I got a couple of questions to ask you now, having seen it again. 2 things. Number one, what the hell were you fumbling for when you first saw that fish? You started reaching behind your chair and you're fumbling through something. Were you pulling out a gun or something?
No, but you know the gloves we used to wear, those
oh, right, the repellent glove.
That was that. And remember, you're in the Amazon. One of the really stupid, silly thing, you saw us both in there. That's about a 10-foot boat. It wasn't even a 12-foot boat. It was a 10-foot boat that tips real easy. There wasn't a life jacket to be had anywhere. There really wasn't. It didn't exist. And probably 20 minutes before that, we had just had an encounter with about a 14-foot crocodile.
Yeah, exactly.
There's all kinds of stupid things in that water. And you talk about stupid guys. That was a couple of stupid guys.
Oh yeah,
doing stuff that we shouldn't. Now, you know, a lot of guys are going to say, well, you know, the fish got mishandled and stuff. You're right. It did get mishandled. But they don't live release anything down there. So that fish got taken back to the village and fed everybody in the village that particular night. So either way, it was not going to be released. But no excuses. But it was fun. It was amazing. The memories, just unbelievable.
And my second point I wanted to make, that was the first point. What were you scrambling for in the bag behind your seat? The second one, and I see that Tim Stooges agrees with me. Where did you get those guns all of a sudden? That was the first time Pete and I knew that, geez, we better not get too mouthy with you because we could be in trouble with those biceps.
That's a beautiful thing about editing. You can paint that stuff in. Anyway, you know what? Great, we went to some great places, guys. You can't buy this stuff. You can't.
Pete's talking, but we can't hear him for some reason. He's gone. He's giving us moving the lips, but no sound. You there? There you go.
You got me? Hello?
Yep.
My favorite moment in that right there. My adrenaline was going. I was in the boat in the camera boat too. But when Reno said he's going to kill us, he thought that fish was going to kill him. He says he's going to kill us. That was the best comment of all time.
Okay, but you know why? And I don't know. We're not going to roll back. But so when I finally lifted him in, I had been warned that the only part dangerous of that catfish was the top fin that he had, and only the very first one,
right?
Because it's full of poison. Real simple. The guy said, "Don't touch that." Well, he told us in Portuguese, so maybe he was telling me to touch it. I don't know, but he told me, "Don't touch that. It's bad. It's poison." And so this, if you look at the clip, ever see it again, you'll see that the fin was under my T-shirt here, and had that fish trashed and gone in, I probably would have been dead. But I was really afraid that what he was doing to us, he was going to sink the boat. You have no idea. This is like a 12-foot, no, not 12 foot, 10 foot long by about 2 foot wide flat bottom boat that wasn't very, the gunnels were very, very short. So my thought about he's going to kill us was he's going to pull us. So let go, Ange. We don't need to go down the bottom. It was dangerous, but it was exciting. And that's what you're a little younger. You don't think stuff like that. You just want to do it.
It was great. Pete, you've got another piece lined up, Pete?
Yeah, we do. I was going to say, I want to go back to that Amazon trip if we can. Just to tell you a little bit, like you see a lot of the on-camera stuff, but the off-camera stuff is just as bizarre or it's good storytelling.
Yeah.
We had so many moments like sitting around the camp. So one night we were sitting at the campfire there and we were drinking our cervezas. We were having, this is after hours, up complete dark, and probably about 11 o'clock. We had two guys there. Aju, you saw in that boat, Range and Reno's boat. And then we had another guy, Leo, a little young kid, about 16 years old. And Leo, all he went, cocodrilo. And he pointed out to the river. And we thought, what the hell is he talking about? He goes, cocodrilo. Well, that's crocodile in Portuguese or whatever the language they were speaking. So we didn't know what it is. So Todd, the cameraman, and I finally talked him into it. He said, we go. Cocodrilo. And this is 11 o'clock at night, drinking the beers and all that stuff. And he wants to take that same boat or a boat just like that and go crocodile sight viewing or whatever it's going to be. So stupid Todd and I say, yeah, let's do it. What the hell? So here we are driving up the Amazon River, wherever that was in Brazil at 11, pitch black, 11 at night. We saw that big crocodile that Reno talked about, that 14-footer earlier. And Leo starts taking his flashlight and we're running full throttle on these little boats and flashlight along the banks. And every now and then you see these two lights that come up and they're crocodile eyes. And there were so many crocodiles there. You wouldn't believe how many are along that river. Most of them are caimans, but then you get the big crocodiles as well. So finally, after we saw a bunch, it's almost like Leo knew where he was going. We had no idea where we were going. So you have to picture all this. And of course, we're still cracking back our cervezas. We're thinking this is scary, but cool. And then he points, and there's about 4 or 6 or 8 of these eyes on the shoreline. And so we're thinking, okay, we're going to stop, and we have no cameras or anything like that. We're going to stop and enjoy it. And he guns it. And he goes full throttle to the bank, right where these things are. So boom, we pull up on the sand beach on the Amazon River where these crocodiles are sitting right there. Of course, they all spook away from us, away from the bank. Leo runs out of the boat with the only flashlight that we have. He runs out of the boat and starts chasing the crocodiles. So now Todd and I are in this boat in the middle of in the dark Amazon. What do? So let's follow Leo because he's got the light. He runs over this berm, this bank, this dike or whatever it was, and there was a pond inside that where these crocodiles all went. And he goes, go down. We laid down on the sand and looked down, and he just shone that flashlight on about 30 or 40 crocodiles sitting in this one little hole. And that's the shit that we did back in those days like that with the trip like that. Those memories, I mean, you will never, ever be able to, make up a story like that or bring back a memory like that again. But that's the honest truth. And then he takes us back, and we're thinking, we were like 10, 15 minutes from camp, and he brought us right back to camp. He knew exactly where he was going. He knew the whole trip like that. But my God, what an experience that was. So that's just part of that trip, one little part.
And we did surgery on Angelo's eye in St. Felix. You remember that?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll get into that in a second. But the trip that Pete's talking about, I mean, we had to go to South America. We had to go to Brazil, take a couple other little flights, and then we had to go to St. Felix. Well, on the main flight from Florida to Brazil, we're sitting in business class, which was a nice big upgrade. It was great. It was wonderful. And there was one guy sitting in first class. Pete, do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And who was it?
That was Comandante.
No. The one passenger sitting in first class was Buddy Guy, the singer, Buddy Guy.
Right.
It was coming back from that.
Whatever it was. It was up. But yeah. Buddy Guy was on that plane. He was by himself up in first class. And anyway, just little things like that.
By the way, I don't want to give people the wrong impression. We did not fly business class on a regular basis.
Whenever we can get it.
Hang on. Every once in a while, we were able to scam business class out of the tourism boards that were flying us to these places. Every once in a while. But not here.
But you see, it was easy for me because I would say, well, you know what? Yes, I'm going to be there with them. But I've got Angelo Viola, he's the star. And I got Peter Bowman, he's the star, and they demand to fly business class. But because of that, then we all get to fly business class. But you know what? That backfired us in Morocco because we ended up flying in the back of the bus big time.
I had a goat as a co-passenger with me.
I know. So
was that the flight where the baby kept farting on?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, no, that was different. I remember the baby. I don't remember the flight. Well, you bastard.
Hey, one more.
When you're a bastard. And by the way, that baby wasn't the baby. It was Bowman.
Oh, yeah, I know. I blame the baby. One more quick story on that on the Amazon trip. So another part of that trip, we're in a plane. And this is where Reno was talking about getting Angela's eye fixed, I think. We were in a small plane flying maybe to get his eye fixed. I can't remember what it was. But anyways, we were in a small plane. And I looked out the window and I saw what looked like water to me coming out of the wing. And I thought, what the hell? And I didn't think anything of it. And then it stopped. And then it started coming out again. And I said, okay, something's wrong, guys. I went to the pilot. Buddy, or there was a little weak plane. I don't know if it was two pilots or not, but I said, something's going on back here. And it was fuel leaking out of the plane. So we literally had to land that little plane in a street in a small, tiny town in the middle of the Brazilian jungle. Like we literally had to drop her down so they could fix that up. And I mean, that was, I don't know if we were close to death or not, but I'll tell you what, that was the most bizarre thing that would, you know
why? You know why that happened? There's no safety or training or anything given to anybody down there. So the plane we got on was in St. Felix. St. Felix is the same shot where at the beginning of the clip you saw the little donkey with the cart on it. Well, that's the main mode of transportation. And so this was a 10-year-old child who filled up the plane, unscrewed the thing on the wing, put the nozzle in, and when he put it back in, he cross-threaded. He was 10 years old. Nobody checked. In the meantime, we could have died. But we didn't, which is the big deal, right?
Oh my God. What a great
same trip. So we're on with our good friend Shim, who's an oral surgeon. He's here in Canada. And he had some tools and stuff for doing dentistry work because he's a doctor. But Angelo somehow got a piece of metal in his eye. Now
no, it was cactus. It was a cactus. Cactus, Reno. It was a cactus.
Okay. So we're in the middle of the Amazon. Okay. There are no clinics. There are no hospitals. I mean, thank God we had Shim, but he wasn't even sure of this. Okay. Because it's an eyeball. So he lived, Angelo slept through that pain all night long. But the next morning at like 7, 8 o'clock, we made our way by bumpy Jeep all the way back and forth. We made it probably, 10 miles from our camp to St. Felix. And St. Felix is literally a, 1 kilometer long village with dirt roads, no sewers. Well, they have sewers, but they're not hooked up to anything. But basically, we're looking for the pharmacist who's as close to the surgeon as we're going to get. And so once we walked through all the rats that they had poisoned overnight, and those not poor rats, because I hate rats, but all the rats and mice that had eaten poison overnight and had died on the street and on the sidewalks that they hadn't swept away yet, we found the pharmacist. And yes, he says, yeah, absolutely. Let me look. What? I think he was saying that, but I don't know. I didn't understand the language. Excuse me. But he basically pulled Angelo from inside the pharmacy outside, because the pharmacy didn't have any lights on. They don't have lights. So the sunlight, and he looked at Angelo's eye in the sun, and he goes, oh, yeah. He says, I see it. And he virtually got a magnifying glass and a tweezer, and he went in Angelo's eye, and he gave him surgery right there on the main street in St. Felix. Do you remember that, Ange?
How can I forget that? You left out the fact that the pharmacy, as you keep calling it, was a hut with no floor, dirt floor, and of course no electricity or lights, as you just mentioned. But they had a bunch of medicine and stuff sitting on some wooden shelves. That was the pharmacy.
Yeah, they probably had aspirin.
I'm listening to you guys. I'm listening to this whole thing, and I just want to make one observation. Everything we've just talked about in the last 20 minutes, all of these things that happened and we discussed in the last one, happened on one shoot.
Yeah.
One of the Fishing Canada or Outdoor Journal shoots. We've done over 1,000 of them. We could talk about this stuff for forever. The nice thing about us, though, unlike most people, is that we usually have video to back it all up. So they're not stories. Fortunately for us, we have some evidence to prove, because we're all into, all of us into fishing. We can all tell a really good story and never let the truth stand in the way of a good story either, by the way. But with us, the beauty of it is that in most cases we've got it on tape and we played it. So it's pretty cool.
We've lived a lot, and it's been, I would say 99% of it was always good. It's really not a problem, no big issues. But I also think we cheated ourselves of the experience. You got all you viewers and listeners, you see us flying here and going there and fishing here and fishing different species and going to Africa, whatever. You see us going different places. And it was great. As you can tell, we had fun. But we were in, and then we worked hard, because Angelo likes to work after dark. Right, Pete?
Start till dark.
He doesn't like to eat. Remember, he doesn't like to have breakfast because he's never ready for breakfast. Okay, then he doesn't eat because he doesn't eat, and then at lunch hour, I'm already feeling like somebody's cut my throat. I'm hungry. And we're in the middle of the jungle, and I can't stop. And then I'm ready at 5 o'clock at night. The poor lady at the lodge had been cooking all day long, all those chicken bones and stuff. The bones that we're eating. And we'd work till 9, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. So my wife and I, we're saying, you've been to a lot of places, and I think we cheated ourselves, guys. All these places we've been to, somehow, if we could have slowed our life down just a touch and spend an extra 2 days or even 1 day past the shoot and just go and look at some of the local culture and hang out with those people. But do you remember the guy we went to on the same trip? The guy we went to on the bank with the wearing a loincloth and one white sock.
One sock,
Adidas. Over down the Amazon. That was amazing.
It was an Adidas sock, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I found it somewhere.
Oh my God.
And he invited us to dinner.
Oh,
God. Which brings us to the next point, Morocco, the dinner we had in Morocco. Do you remember that?
Oh,
anyway.
My God.
We could go on and on and on. Somebody asked an interesting question, and maybe this would be a great time to to discuss it, wanting to know what was the one innovation that we think was the most important innovation to fishing throughout the years that we've been in the business.
The most historical fishing aid that changed fishing by John Kuchera. Okay, that's a good one. Anybody want to take a shot at it? I know what my modern day one is.
I think dating back to the 70s, even, I think the day that we started, the day that we thought we had the ability to see what was going on under the surface was the day that fishing changed. And I'm talking about the original graphs, the paper graphs. That's kind of what started the whole thing. I think sonar has probably changed, or fish finders, whatever you want to call them. I think is the most important historical significance in fishing, as far as I'm concerned.
You know what? Go ahead, Reno.
You know, I can't lock myself down to one, because they're just a progression of tools.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, thank God that portion of the industry, and I specifically mean that portion of the industry, is progressive enough to be able to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars developing stuff like chart recorders, like power poles, electric motors, big batteries, all that kind of stuff. That all those tools together is what brings fishing today to a next level. But on our level, remember, we're a couple of three country bumpkins from the Oshawa area, basically. So we tried to pioneer some stuff, and I think we did. We did own the first underwater camera, submarine camera. Remember that? But before that, we stuck a $100,000 Betacam camera in a plexiglass box that we had built, and it wasn't a special build. It was just us with some glue, put four sides on the bottom and enough to lower that box that was plexiglass so you could see all through it in the water, and then to lower our $100,000 Betacam camera in there. And that was a big risk. But little innovations like that for us was what sticks in my memory. It gave us the ability to do filming a little bit of underwater, so you could see the fish, you could see the weed we were talking about, all that kind of stuff. But as far as any one particular tool, no, guys, the industry has grown leaps and bounds since the early 80s. And I like to think we had a big part of that, because we did. Not just us. I'm talking the whole industry. And it was a great time to be pioneers.
You know what? I'll go on. I'm going to go further on what Angelo said. The good thing about the Garmins of the world and the electronics, it started so archaic, and it moves forward so, like this new live scope, new perspective mode of live scope. That is, it's going to keep flowing and flowing and going and going. So I think that's probably to me the big one too. The biggest modern day other one, kind of a smaller segment of it, is the Senko. Okay, I'm getting very specific here. A soft stick bait. That bait called a Senko. For anybody that's not used it, and is a bass fisherman, you're out of your mind not to use it. It's freaky how simple a little straight worm can be, but how effective it is. I mean, that thing has changed soft plastics as it is. Lots of beaver baits out there right now. There's still all kinds of the swim baits and that are coming out too, but that simple little straight worm, Handlebars says the pocket fisherman.
Pocket fisherman.
That's pretty
yes.
cool.
Absolutely. Think of how right he is.
Yeah,
now you stop by the side of the car, by the side of the road with your car, and take out your pocket fisherman.
Absolutely.
And absolutely. And it was little things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about graphite?
Oh, yeah. You remember graphite TS?
I remember the first one. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I remember it well.
It's funny now, though. Now you're seeing a lot more guys go back to fiberglass, right? The guys that are running crankbait rods, the guys that are running chatterbait rods, all that. They're saying not even a composite. They're saying, no, go back to fiberglass. So there's certain places that you use each one in, sort of thing. So graphite was huge too, for sure.
I want to throw this one in because I don't want to miss this opportunity to talk about favorite. We're talking about favorite or what we think, in our opinions, were the innovative things that changed the industry. But I want to talk about the Fishing Canada show specifically. one of my favorite moments in the entire run that we've had. And now when I say favorite moments, I mean those moments, that point in time, that scene that you see and is burnt onto your brain, your psyche, and you every time you think about it, it's vivid, it's got color, it's got everything, is the scene, and I know we've got it queued up because I specifically asked for it, is the scene where you, Reno, we were in the Northwest Territories, and you caught that huge lake trout. And I think at that time, it was the biggest lake trout that we had ever captured on tape. And to me, it's still one of the incredible Fishing Canada scenes that will last forever. Rather than me say anything more, Stephen, if you've got that one queued up, I think that was should be labeled Norwetta. We were on that houseboat. Yeah.
Besides sightseeing, hiking, canoeing, and relaxing, the Norwetta offers a pleasant social atmosphere, unsurpassed fishing opportunities, and even golf.
I don't know if we're gonna catch this fish. Oh, look at the drag going out. I gotta go chase him. I'm just gonna turn the motor on and put it in forward, and I'm gonna chase him. And you know what? I haven't got a net on board. Oh no, he's gone. He's gone. The fish is gone. No, he's not. Oh my Lord. Hey guys, this is him. Oh. Oof. Oof. Oh. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. What a whale. Folks, I got me a 30 on there. I really do have me a 30-pound fish on there. I got to bring him in the boat for you. No question about it. I got him, folks. I got him. I got him. I got him and I'm hooked. And I don't care.
That scene, to me, that is the Fishing Canada show right there. That was outstanding.
I didn't see it. Somehow the video got cut off from what
yeah,
I was.
I'm the same way, Reno. I hope the audience saw that, Steve.
Oh my God.
I had a pink screen on my thing, and Reno probably had the same thing. So
Yeah,
I didn't got to see it. But
Oh man, I hope everybody saw it like I did. It is absolutely my favorite, one of my favorite Fishing Canada scenes of all time, and that was a giant lake trout that Reno caught without a net on board as usual, and great big treble hook sticking out of the bait. He's trying to hold the fish up. The bait is on the fish. It gets caught in his shoulder, but he was a trooper. He just kept with the scene and finished the piece off. And then, of course, we had some major surgery to do with him after the cameras turned off. But wow, what a great scene that was. And that was, at that point, I think that was the biggest fish, lake trout, we'd ever caught on tape. And I don't even know whether we've ever broken that. I mean, you called that a 30, Reno, but I think you were underestimating the size of that fish quite a bit.
I called it a 30 because I had caught a 45, or what I thought was a 45 a couple of years earlier. So this one in my memory was a little bit smaller, but maybe the 45 was bigger. I don't know. I don't know.
This was the biggest. You're thinking about the fish you caught in Newellton Lake, right?
Right. That was my first lake trout experience, period. Yeah.
This was a bigger fish. This was a larger fish than that one. This thing was huge, man.
So again, we've been fortunate enough to go to all these places and experience it all. But the bottom line, the common denominator, fishing is fishing. I mean, you know what, whether you're doing it here in the Northwest Territory, especially like I just told you guys, it's just, you know, we're in, we work, and we go home. And so we don't experience the local flair, if you will. So for us to fly into the Northwest Territories, fish for the day, catch a giant fish, and then hop on a plane and go back to Toronto, yeah, you know, you see the fish. But the common denominator to all of this stuff is fishing. And so I understand why you guys get turned on about fishing. And I understand the concept of your whole life memories are built around fishing. And you can do that, especially the people in all over Canada. But for us, because we're from Southern Ontario, you can do that here. You can catch a 45-pound lake trout in Lake Ontario. You can catch a 40-pound salmon in Lake Ontario. You can catch bass, you can catch walleye, you can catch everything. But it is the experience that you make of it. And a lot of you guys are making a lot of great experience with it. And just keep doing it. It's something that will never leave your memory.
Absolutely. Well said.
We've got a Craig Vandermeer on with us from Fort St. John in BC. Welcome aboard.
Hey, Craig.
Nice to have you folks from out west. Also, a comment on Mark Daly, who was one of our many. Well, we had 3 announcers throughout the history of the Fishing Canada Show. Mark Daly was one of them, and of course, he passed away. He was a great voice that we all became accustomed to on City TV when it first appeared on our airwaves. And we were able to talk Mark into being the voice of the Fishing Canada Show for a while. And we were honored by that. Of course, he passed away years ago. So it was nice to see somebody recognize his voice.
Hey, same with Don Allman.
I was going to say, who was our very first voice?
Don Allman. And again, the Viola brothers, not, we're a lot of things, but we're not really stupid. We look stupid at times, but we're not really stupid. Peter Bowman being there is one of the reasons we're not stupid. Okay, we're not stupid. So we had found, well, we knew him all of our lives, but we had decided that a gentleman from Oshawa was going to be our announcer, and we thought that having an announcer's voice like Don was critical to the success of our business, which it was. He sounded like God.
Yeah.
Okay, so every week at the beginning of the show, Don would say, and this week, Reno does this, or Angelo and Pete does this. So it was like God announcing our word and what we were, the direction he was giving us. And by the way, I'm not religious, so I'm not trying to take you down that route, but we figured if the voice was authoritative enough, and it was, that voice would help us to the success of the Fishing Canada Show. And you know what? I think it did. I think that Ron Devion that we kept talking about on CBC, one of the main reasons was Don's voice. So just so you guys keep that in the back of your head.
I'm glad you brought that up. We grew the Fishing Canada brand. Yes, the 3 principal players are before you here today, but there were so many reasons that this program, this is not a postmortem of the Fishing Canada Show, by the way, as we all know, but there were so many reasons that it got to the level that it did in terms of popularity. And Reno just mentioned one of them, because we were always trying to think outside of the box. What's everybody else doing? Okay, well, let's do the opposite. And voiceover was one. The underwater camera was another. We had so many firsts and we pride ourselves still to this day on being risk takers. We take a lot of risks out in the field and in our business. And I think that is what all of you that are watching this piece today and the thousands of people that make the Fishing Canada Show a part of their weekly routine nationally. I think that's why you do it. It's because you recognize that. You see that we're flying by the seat of our pants in most cases, and we're risk takers. And I think that's what's sort of brought us all together. And voiceover is just one tiny little example of that, for sure. We built a boat. We built a boat from scratch. I know somebody's asking that question on this program right now. Talk about FNC1. We built a boat. We've been with Princecraft Boats since I think whatever it was. It was a long time ago. But 4 years ago, we decided we were going to build a boat using Princecraft as the base, the platform. We decided to build a boat for the show. And that's the type of thing that I think has brought us all closer together every Saturday morning on the program. So I'm glad you brought that voiceover thing up, Reno.
The only thing I really regret is, and one of the reasons that, at the beginning is, why did I leave? Well, the industry that you're in, or anybody's in that decides to stay in, has so much to do with why you do what you do. And I found that the fishing industry has a tendency to be something that is not united. Okay. Now, here, what I'm talking about is the singers just did all the national singers and all the American singers and all the performers. They did a little piece of song for this COVID-19 thing. And you know what? That's wonderful. They took time out of their schedule to put together something to raise some money for supplies and that sort of thing, which is wonderful. The fishing industry, just as a whole, it doesn't do that. I mean, I know why, but I don't know how to fix it, and it probably will never be fixed. And it's bigger than you. It's smaller than what you guys think, but it's a big thing in your mind. So I think it could be the size of the industry. And then when we get locked in the fishing industry. Well, yes, we are part of the fishing industry. Same with General Motors making Chevy trucks or Dodge Ram making Ram trucks is part of the industry. But the actual fishing industry itself is so tiny, such a little sliver. I'm talking the fish baits, the lines, the rods, the reels. It's such a small part of the overall fishing industry. And I think that's why we can't get it right together. So there would be nothing better than for all of us to unite and mean it and smile and laugh, because every other fishing show like ours has the same stories we do. They must have. Either that or they're dead. They simply don't have any feeling. Okay, but they all do. So it would be nice to be able to unite those guys together without any jealousies, without anything, and just do something for the fishing industry.
By the way, I agree with you 100%. By the way, I see there was an announcement just made, and I looked at my watch, and it's almost 1:30, so that means that Premier Ford has just made his daily little speech. But somebody's telling us that marinas have been told to get ready to reopen. How great is that?
That's wonderful.
So Buffalo area marina is now open. So somebody's announced that in the U.S. So hopefully it's true. That'd be nice.
Guys, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. Okay.
No,
I'm not. Overall, I'm not. There's something going on here that somebody drank the Kool-Aid. There's something big going on here that's not just a disease. The disease is horrible enough by itself, and it's real. But there's somebody that saw an opportunity to do something and I don't even know what it is. It's just a thing in my mind. But somebody drank the Kool-Aid and made sure that whoever politician or whatever politician below them and in different parts of the government at local level and provincial level and high up drank the Kool-Aid. I think you're going to see something that we're all going to be surprised. It may take us 2 or 3 years to find out what's really going on, but I think there's something else going on.
Wow.
By the way, I'm not even going to comment on that. I'll leave that one with you. But somebody just said, Robert Switzer said that he was on the Fishing Canada show in 2005, Sioux Lookout, Ontario, when apparently you and I, Pete, and the film crew were there locked inside the motorhome. Remember that?
Oh God, I remember that. And that is literally true. We were locked inside our motorhome and we couldn't get out. And I don't know why we couldn't get out the front doors. Maybe there is no front door. I don't know. But the main door of that motorhome was locked, and we had to pull into a garage and they worked from the outside in, and they finally got our door unlocked to get us out of there.
Was you there, Reno?
Eh?
Was Reno there?
No, I don't think so.
No,
Reno, is he here with us?
No, maybe we lost him.
I was going to say, because I want Reno, I was going to post a question back into the fishing world. Reno, there. What is your favorite species of fish to go for, and why?
The 5-year fixed rate mortgage is my favorite species of fish.
You're the best, buddy. I love you.
It's what I do. Listen, I have to say, I have passion for fishing.
Yeah.
But I'm not there anymore. I still love my audience and I still love all that. But my passion now is mortgages. And so my favorite species is the 5-year fixed mortgage. Low rates, easy to get into, and even COVID doesn't affect it very much. So call me, because I need your business.
Okay, let's go back. Let's step back a little bit then. When you were fishing as you were, what was your favorite?
No question. No question. For me, no question at all. Largemouth bass. I mean, largemouth bass has always done it for me. Yeah. It is what spawned this fishing show. Okay, the Fishing Canada show. Ange and I thought we were great professional fishermen, not pro staff, but professional fishermen, that we decided we were going to make tournament thing part of our thing, and then that spawned the television show. So for me, largemouth bass, not even smallmouth. I love smallmouth, but right now, is everything, but largemouth bass specifically is my favorite species.
Is there a favorite technique that you have to target largemouth bass?
Yeah, two. One is flipping jigs, heavy jigs and around the shoreline with heavy mat. And the further back you can get it, the better it is. And of course, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, the almighty Senko. I mean, why would it doesn't need to get any better than that? It is the best bait in the world, easy to use, and you can be half asleep when you're using it because you're still going to catch fish. It's a wonderful bait.
True enough. All right, but
by the way, you just shocked Doug, who says, "Oh, geez, plugging the mortgage business." Whoa. What the hell's going on? I don't blame you. Just a couple of quick things. Catherine Cole from New Brunswick says, "Hey, fishing is open down here now, so they must have just opened their fishing because it's
that's good.
It's been closed in New Brunswick right from the get-go, so they just announced an opening." Jill Stepniak from Winnipeg is joining us, just saying hello, Jill. Nice to have you aboard. And what else we got to know? We got Winnipeg on, and we've got Toronto, and we've got what else? That's it for now. That's it.
So I wonder now, tonight at midnight being the opening season of walleye and pike in Zone 20, and in particular Bay of Quinte, which is what the normal. Any thoughts with all the boat launches closed? Any ideas, any thoughts, any predictions, boys, as to what's going to actually happen out there?
I'll be honest with you. I was kind of hoping to get a call today to give me some updates on that. I really thought that they were going to open them.
Right.
I thought the boat launches were going to open for the walleye opener, because if not, I can't even imagine what's going to happen.
I mean, anybody that knows private launches, if they have access to a private launch, to a cottage, a guy that's built his own little launch or whatever, and you got access to that, then you can go out and they can fish from there. But other than that, yeah, it's shut down basically, right?
And by the way, our buddy Brian Flero posted. Remember, he's got a launch ramp right on his property, so
right.
He says that they're lined up, taking tickets, waiting to get in
at his place.
At his place, yeah.
What's he charging?
I didn't ask him.
Oh God!
But you know what? It again, a few weeks ago, my thoughts were different. Now they're different again. Being out in a boat, as long as you're not being, at the end going for a beer and hanging around together, that social distancing thing I think works. The person you're going to be sitting on the boat with, you know each other well enough that, one of us could be infected, and we don't know. But if somebody's been quarantined for 2 weeks and you've been quarantined for 2 weeks, you're going to presume it's safe for you guys to be 5 or 6 feet apart on a boat and to enjoy the outdoors, get that fresh air. That fresh air is good stuff. And I don't think that the right move was to shutter down everything. I really, no. And now that they open up, hopefully they open up everything. And we get out. I think it'll be great. I think.
I'm disappointed in. I'm very disappointed in going away from the fishing for now. I'm disappointed in the general public, and I'm starting to see it more now that we've been living this for about a month. Is that the disregard in a city? Let's say I live in Oshawa, and I'm seeing people that they're trying to abide by it, but then all of a sudden, when a family member has to come to the house, they go to the house, they let them in. If somebody needs a babysitter, they bring the kid in to the house. Like, I'm seeing this literally. Now, maybe I'm wrong in here, but I think that's the wrong thing to do. Going from house to house to house to house, family to family, even if you are family, as long as you're living separately, you should be separately. The guy that Reno's talking about, if I grab my boat out of my driveway and I drive it by myself to a private boat launch, everybody stay away from me. I fish. I come back, I bring that boat back and put it in my driveway right there. I'm safer than those people that are doing that they're bringing them into their house. So this stuff is spreading for a reason. It ain't spreading because of fishermen and turkey hunters. The turkey hunters are going out by themselves and doing the same thing. Back home, maybe a family or an individual, they're not spreading anything. But the people in these cities and towns, they need to shake their heads a little bit, okay? Because even your family members, as long as you're living in different houses, you can't and should not be coming over to each other's houses.
I don't think there is a scenario that we can paint that, unless you're not buying into this. By the way, let me preface this by saying I'm speaking for somebody who has so far, I say so far, bought into this whole virus situation. So I'm bought in. I'm not suggesting, like Reno just mentioned, that there's a conspiracy theorist and all that stuff. No, I'm bought in. So if we have bought in, then I don't think there is a scenario that you can paint that makes it right for us to interact beyond the protocol of this pandemic, which is 6 feet and masks and no interaction and no touching and feeling and all that stuff. There is not a right place that you can do that, period. Whether it's fishing or whether it's at home with your babysitter or whatever the case may be. So I think that I think we can maintain the distancing. I think we can maintain everything that we're supposed to within the protocol that we've been handed, and we can still conduct our lives, staying within the perimeters that they've given us. You mentioned fishing. It's a perfect example. Is there a more perfect opportunity not to connect with other people than being on your boat in the middle of a lake? And the answer is no. The only problem with that is that if it was a perfect world and we all thought the same and we all did the same, this virus probably wouldn't even be here now. But unfortunately, it's not. So Pete just brought up a good point about the babysitter and the relatives and stuff. Well, I can give you the same example of maybe you and I would do the right things in terms of launching the boat, going out in the middle of the lake, and then coming back and loading the boat up by ourselves. But there's no guarantee that everybody would adhere to that. And that's why, because people keep asking, why did they close the marinas? Why did they close the launch ramps? Why can we not put our boat in water? That's
Mark brings a good point. Mark Burton, one of the messages in here. Lots of touch points, and there is lots of touch points, but you got to. There are some smart people out there that would avoid the touch points. But you're right, lots of touch points to go fishing. Get gas. We got to put gas in our cars, in our boat. And of course, we're out going fishing. I'm going to stop at the bait store and I need to spend a couple $100. I need to do it. It's hard with me if they were open, and so on and so forth. Food, etc. So there's a lot of touch points, but the real touch points are already there anyways. You got to get gas for your car, so make sure you put a glove on and do it with the glove. I hate going through Tim Hortons. I hate it, but I still do it because the person handing me the cup may not be the person who's infected, but the person who made the coffee this morning and touched the empty cup might be. So I don't know. Life is a little dangerous at times, and if you watch what you're doing and take care of yourself, put the face mask on. For God's sake, who in their right mind said 8 weeks ago, no, the face mask won't help you? Well, crap. The face mask will help you, whether you've got it, stop it from spreading, and also put it on to filter a little bit of what's coming at you. So the mask would definitely help. Gloves used properly would definitely help. And I don't buy this. I bought in. I'm here. I've been locked into this apartment for, 2 months now. And I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm starting to actually live it. But there's something more here. It's something that I don't understand yet. And one of the reasons I don't understand is I haven't had touch with other people. So by me not having contact with intelligent people, not that you guys are not, but intelligent people, sorry about that. We can have this kind of dialogue. No, we're being fed. Well, we're like mushroom, right? We're kept in the dark, lock us inside, and give us lots of bullshit so we can, we're okay. Somewhere along the line, we've been fed a line here, guys, okay? And go back to fishing. You're right, Ange. Touch points are important, absolutely. But we're not stupid, okay? And I don't want to die. So I'm going to take all the precautions I can. But I would like to go fishing.
Yeah, but you're not the problem, right?
I know that.
Everybody here, I'll bet you everybody here, everybody that's plugged in right now, and I don't know how many you are, and I know you're from all across the country. I'll bet you there isn't a person right now that will not say, I can do it safely. I can do it safely.
Yep.
Well, my question is, if we can all do it safely, and we all say, I'm not the problem, then what the hell is the problem? We have a problem globally, and it's spreading every day.
Well,
I think it's called the World Trade Organization, the WHO. I think it's one united world government, the new world order, whatever you want to call it, okay? And our little puppet has bought into it, and he's given away millions of dollars when those millions of dollars would be nice in Canada right now. By the way, I don't even know the total that he's given out for grants, and we're getting into politicals here, stuff. I don't even go there. But had he taken, how many million people do we have in Canada? 38 million, 40 million, something like that. That's how many people here. If he had given us each $1 million and said, stay inside with that $1 million and order food out, okay, we would have all done it happily and this thing would be over. But yet he's chosen to spend hundreds of billions of dollars just to touch it up, and we're still in the middle of the crisis. So there's a lot better ways that it could be handled. There is somebody who's drank the Kool-Aid, and he's one of them, that is going to change our world forever. And trust me, they will change it forever. So all this lovely fishing stuff that we're talking about today, and all those memories that you and Peter and I have built up over the last 30 years, that's going to be tough to duplicate. Could you imagine?
Nah. We'll be all right.
Sorry, I don't want to talk about politics. Okay. Well, how nice it was to be with you guys today.
Let me do one more thing on the COVID thing. You were saying that we all can adhere to the protocol. Ange, I get what you're saying there, and I know we will, and I'm sure everybody here listening is going to do that. Then you say, but there are bad eggs out there and bad apples. But from what I've heard so far in the fishing community, nothing has happened. So I know there's not a lot going on, but we've had steelheaders out on the bank for 2 months now, at least. Now we've had all the steelheaders in all the rivers. We have all kinds of turkey hunters out right now. And from what I've talked to a lot of people, because I'm asking this and that and the other, and they're saying they see nobody. The creeks, I have two brothers that were out today on a local creek. They saw some people there. They moved further north. I gave them a spot where I knew there was some fish. They said I couldn't fish there because there was a guy there. So everybody seems to, that I've talked to, and that's a very small percentage of it, seems to be adhering to the protocol. And I mean, so far it's taken us, we have to prove, that we can do that. I mean, we may not be the problem. There's going to be the odd bad egg, but we have not proven that it's a bad thing to go fishing yet. The other thing I want to say is what Reno's point was, you got to stop and get gas and all that kind of stuff. What about the person that is anticipated this? I'll say myself, for instance, my truck is full of gas. My boat is full of gas, and it literally is. Why can't I put my kettle on in the morning and make my coffee and put my coffee in the thermos, suck it up because I don't want to do Tim Hortons or drive through? Why can't I make my lunch? Why can't I have everything contained into my little world for this one-day trip and go out and do it and then come back? That's what we need to do too, so that you're not stopping anywhere. You're well and prepared for it. We're all going out to get gas. If we're using your vehicles to go to work every day still, you're going to get gas in your vehicle. So you're always getting gas. If you're going to the grocery store, you're already going out to do that with your vehicle. You're putting yourself in more danger going to a grocery store than you probably are sitting in the turkey blind. You know what I mean? So there's common sense. If we all can contain our little world into packing your own lunch, doing everything that you don't need to stop and buy bait. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not going to pick worms in your backyard instead of buying worms. If you can do that, you can be better than the rest of the people that are spreading it. So,
and obviously I got a little sore point with this.
We need to get back to business, though, guys. We need to get back to business. I knew we weren't going to be able to stay away from it, but we need to get back to what we're here for.
All right, let's go back to business.
I don't want to interrupt you, but we've spent way too much time on this. Everybody that's listening today, they've got their own versions and problems with this whole thing. It's part of our life right now. So we should think more in terms of making this piece something that we can all forget about where we currently sit.
I hate this shit that's going on. It shouldn't be going on. We shouldn't be talking about it because every time we talk about it, it elevates it to the next level. We're not stupid people.
Yeah.
So don't lock us in, period.
Good.
Okay.
I agree.
Away we go. Let's go back to the Amazon for a minute.
Let's talk about Reno. That's what we're here for.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about Reno. Okay. One thing, guys, we were very, very fortunate to do the Fishing Canada show. And I know a lot of you viewers, I don't know if you want it, I would say half of you guys probably would love to have a fishing show. I'm just taking a flyer. But like anything else in life, if you don't take a chance, if you don't invest, if you don't take the chance to lose, okay, it'll never go anywhere. And so when I wasn't kidding, we almost went bankrupt towards the beginning of our careers. We were using money with lots of money, with lots of zeros at the end of it when we first started. And it wasn't our money. It was borrowed money. So we were in debt to get this television show going. And thank God for guys like Ron Devion, who pulled us out of this giant hole and gave us that little foot up that we needed. But in life, if you don't take a chance, and especially in the fishing industry, and I don't mean just making some posts on Facebook. Okay, nice. But what are you really doing for the fishing industry? I'm talking about. Do something for the fishing industry. Get recognized for something that you've done creative for the fishing industry, and you'll get your little chance and it's a great chance to do more. So if you want a fishing show, go ahead and invest. Get some cameras, get some camera people. Go ahead and do it. There's lots of room for everybody who wants to be on the fishing show. So go do it. On the other hand, just because you don't want to do fishing shows and you want to do something else in your life, you should also take that opportunity and do it, because you need to build memories like the three of us have built. And look, I'm still smiling about it. Memories like what we've built over the last 30 years. You can't build from sitting, working at a McDonald's for the rest of your life.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, you know what? And they know there's nothing wrong with that. They absolutely know there's nothing meant to be offensive about that, because especially today, people working at McDonald's are very, very key individuals. They're essential service.
They're working.
Good one, Andy.
We're not. That's the part that blew my mind. But anyways, I want to throw this out there. I saw it on Tuesday when we were up, but it just came across again. Doug Nymir wants to know about Reno in the belly boat. And he keeps alluding to the fact that you did an episode in a belly boat. And I know the episode he's talking about. Clarify that, Reno?
Okay, so here you go. All my life, okay? I've loved every part of my life in the fishing show, other than being mistaken for Angelo. And Angelo as well. And I'll be someplace, and by the way, I don't get recognized anymore. Okay, maybe the lack of, I don't know what it is. Okay, but I hardly get recognized. But I do get recognized every once in a while, and they'll walk up to me and go, "Oh, hi, how are you?" I love that belly boat show that you did, and I know exactly what he's talking about, because we all went on every one of the shoots, and it was Angelo. And sometimes early on, I used to say, "You're talking about the wrong brother. It's Angelo." And that's what it is, by the way. Angelo did the belly boat show. I don't do belly boat shows at all. So sometimes I don't even tell them any different. Sometimes I just continue to dialogue. It's like being polite. It's like being Peter. Peter's polite, okay? They like Peter. He's non-confrontational. They love him. So I thought maybe being polite might rub off on me as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reno, let me interrupt here and let everybody else on this, in that Angelo gets as many Renos as you get as many Angelos. He gets for you all the time. They always say, "Hey, Reno." Sometimes we're at the point now when we're together, we just kind of shake our heads and look at each other and walk on and say, "Hey," and Angelo say, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "Hey, Reno, hey, how you doing?" Honest to God, you guys go at it every all the time. It still goes on to this day.
You know what I hate? You know what I really hate? I mean, it was me who set up the Fishing Canada show, and it was me who set up the radio show. And, Angelo was right there, 30 seconds apart. But it was me who did the initial steps. And so it was my rejection. I put my character out there to be rejected if somebody said, "No, you can't do a fishing show." So it was me. Okay. And then you guys are doing, I don't know, at the Sportsman show a couple of years ago. I happened to be at the Sportsman show, and you guys were doing the radio show. And after a while, you finished the show and you came out and start signing autographs. And I'm standing right there. I'm standing right beside you. Okay. I was invisible. That bugs the hell out of me.
Don't take it that way, buddy. People have short memories, right? They have short memories,
but I'm the mortgage guy now, so don't forget that, okay? Remember, after all this stuff, you guys lived with your wife and you're, being confined in a 2-room apartment, and you probably, a lot of you guys are going to get divorced, okay? That's not news, but it's real. Okay. Remember me? I'm still your mortgage guy.
Okay. You are something else.
The fishing show. Remember, that's what we're here for. Fishing Canada.
Fishing show. It's about you, Peter, and I.
Okay.
By the way, for people watching, if they're
bad grammar, I was taught that in grade 1, and I never remembered.
Just to go back to Doug's question about the tube and anybody else that is interested, it was done in a series of videotapes, and I just happen to have one right here. That's the episode that he's talking about. And this is a 3 videotape classic, Fishing Canada classic. These things were done, I think, in the early 90s somewhere, and they were sold at Canadian Tire, and it was quite the episode. It's the first time that I ever felt completely helpless when doing battle with a fish, because when you're in a float tube, unlike when you're in a boat or standing on shore, when you pull back and the fish pulls back, you're on even ground, right? He just pulls you along the waterway, and it was an incredible experience.
Were you
Big pike
on that one, or was it spinning?
I was there. I think it was Neat Lake, wasn't it, guys? And we shot that.
No. Yeah, you know what? Yes, and it was Neat Lake, and it was in that back bay. Now
way at the back, yeah.
Way up. We went into that favorite bay of ours on Neat Lake,
right in front of that little stream that comes into that back.
Yes, and all you could see was gators down there. Remember, all you could see was these big logs, these big huge pike. And I lowered myself in that tube, not knowing what was about to happen. To be honest with you, it was fantastic, though. I don't know whether a lot of people do use. I don't see them very often.
No, they wouldn't. Why would they do that?
Is fantastic. It's just a great adventure. It's difficult to do for a number of reasons. You're, first of all, just casting out of a tube is different because you're not on top of the plane that you're casting from. You're halfway down. So the whole process of casting is kind of weird. But the biggest the biggest difference is, like I said, when you're fighting a fish, you got no control. The fish can pull you wherever it wants. So I'd highly recommend it.
Guys, let's talk about little wee moments. I'm talking like microseconds in any one of our trips. And of course, I've got a million of them. But mine, for example, again, Neat Lake. Pete and I were coming back from that bay, and we were making the long, big trip back. And it was just ice out, and we were coming through this channel back towards the lodge, and the water was absolutely flat. The sun was going down in the west, and it was spring, and the smell of pine trees coming through that channel. And I remember, it's like I'm sitting there today. Pete's driving a boat, and I'm sitting down the boat somewhere. But that pine smell that came here, and I knew I was in wilderness Canada. And there's only one thing that is wilderness Canada, and that's the real wilderness Canada. And one of those moments is that I'll remember that forever. What have you guys got?
Well, you know what, Reno? I probably got lots of that, but that same trip when Reno was talking about typical Canada is going in. When he said the ice, we had to literally dodge ice throughout the whole pathway there, or make our own path, or break ice with these little tinner boats with the tiller handles just to get to this pike bay. It was all jammed up with. It wasn't icebergs, but it was like a half-inch, of broken ice that was leaving from the remnants of the winter. And that right there, I mean, you're taking a trip. You go out of the lodge, you hit all of a sudden where you're going to go, and it's covered in ice, and you got to dodge it and move it and break it to get into there. That stuff is that's typical Canadian fishing right there.
And on that trip, remember you put a big hole in your boat. You almost sank it in that
From the ice, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
a lot of great memories for sure, boys.
That was good.
And you know what? No matter what happens in your life, you're always going to have those memories. They don't go away. They don't fade. And I'd hate to have a life without those memories.
My favorite trip, though, boys, I'm going to say, with the three of us, aside from that Amazon trip, which was pretty bizarre, but was the Mexico bass fishing on El Salto. Oh. That was my favorite trip by far. I don't know why. I mean, we're the Fishing Canada show, and it should be in Canada, but that trip really, everything about it was just it was so exotic. The fish were giant. Reno got a 10-pounder. I mean, he was the only guy that got a 10-pounder on that trip. Ange lost one that was one of those teeners, you know, a largemouth bass in the teens, and then fishing in a barrage of standing timber. The Ange getting hitting heat stroke, and us having, remember that, Reno and Ange?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
We had the lake, and we had to put towels into our cooler, and then pull the towels out, soaking wet, and throw them on top of him. And when I took one of those towels, I literally took a towel and put it on my forehead because it was hot, and I almost died from the shock of it. And we were laying these towels on his body to bring him back, and he wasn't even moving. Like it was all kinds of. We did that underneath a wasp nest. Remember that, Ann? The bank was full of wasps, those nasty things like that. And that trip was just.
I had a chance to kill you, and I didn't. I had a chance. That was the perfect place. They would have never found them.
Oh, exactly. We lost the towels.
What a lily white, whatever you are. Here you are laying in the bottom of the boat, cutting into my fishing time, the beach fishing time on El Salto. And we were into a hot bite. And
we were.
He's all dehydrated. And he's laying. Why is he freaking well dehydrated? Because he doesn't take the time in the morning to bring extra water, have breakfast, stop at lunch, have more water, have some. No. Angelo's a tough guy. I could work my way through that. Oh yeah, should have let you die.
That was a good trip, and we got some.
Oh my God!
We had some double. Like Ange and I fished. Reno fished with the host of the lodge, and Ange and I fished together in another boat. And it's the first time we ever got to use get into the fishing part of it. Deep diving crankbaits for a lot of it, and we found this one spot. It looked like a boat launch coming in the water, but the guide told us, look across the lake over there, and you'll see the boat launch was going out of the water. And what it was is a submerged road. Okay, this is a reservoir that was flooded. So one side of the road, the other side of the road. But we found these fish literally off the edges of the road. Look at it this way. It was like a ditch area. We found this ditch with the brush that was still in the ditch. And we were throwing crankbaits, and I swear to God, we were getting doubles of 5 and 6 pounders, 6 and 7 pound largemouth bass, double headers on crankbaits doing this. It was the most amazing fishing we've ever done. Then finally, we got right up to the bank on the road, and I fired a cast straight down the pavement. I threw it out from deep to shallow, and I know this crankbait was cutting in to the pavement and hit like that, and I hit a 9-pounder on a crankbait like that. And to me, that's the most bizarre type of fishing, but what a great memory it was, for sure.
And while you guys were fishing that, okay, I was using our famous Senko, right? I mean, that's
where we discovered Senko. Is that trip?
Right. It fishes so easily, and to me, the memory of that trip, it was a 10-pounder. It was great, but of all places to fish, we were fishing a graveyard, and a graveyard still had they had moved the bodies, but the monuments were still there.
Yeah.
So there was a cross with the Blessed Virgin Mary with Jesus in her arm, and where did I catch the big one? Right under Jesus in her arm, and it was weird. It was memories that you cannot buy. If somebody says, "I got to go make that memory," you can't do it.
By the way, speaking of memory, somebody mentioned don't forget that acknowledged the fact that you weren't in the tube video, Reno, but he said that don't forget Reno had a big lake trout. You must have a fan out there. He must love you. He says one of those tapes has Reno with a big lake trout. So there you go. There you see Reno with the big lake trout. There you go.
There he is.
I love you.
In the tube, and Pete with his giant bass. So
Listen,
feel better now. Love Reno. Go ahead and show him some love.
You know what? Thank you for that. You know, thank you for noticing, and thank you for sticking up for me. I like the recognition. I don't get it often, but I do like it. So I don't want to lie to you about it. It's nice when you guys say hi. It's also nice when you tell me I'm wrong, because I got to get brought back to earth every once in a while. But other than that, very often, just so you know. And by the way, we're not ignoring all these messages on the side of the screen. We're not. We're having such a great time. I'm having such a great time.
Look, we have a Kevin Stevens who says, I'm proud to see 3 Hall of Famers. Thank you, guys, which is kind of cool, because I want to talk about that for just a second. It was in my notes here to talk with you guys. I want to talk about, if you can sort of go back to that day where the acknowledgement of being in the Canadian Freshwater Hall of Fame and all that good stuff happened. Do you remember that day when you were up on stage? Well, let me start with you, Pete. Do you remember that day? And tell me a little bit about how that felt.
Oh my God, I totally remember. I'll remember that the rest of my life, because I had my family there. My mother was alive back then, so mom and dad were there. All my family, and some of my close buddies and guys that we know from the industry, Marty Meadows, guys like that came along too, that came from a long distance away. And yeah, it was a huge moment for me, because I've never put myself as a celebrity or anything. Even though I've worked in the business this long, I love fishing, right? And that's what I do. I'll take a camera with me. If I can go, I'll go fishing without a camera. I have no problem doing either way. So this whole celebrity thing has always been bizarre to me. So when I got nominated, Angelo and Reno had nominated me, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I don't very much I'll get in. And then when I got in, the big news then, Andy Pilata got hold of me. He says, guess what? You're in. He says, everybody voted you in. So I went, whoa. So these are all the alumni that voted me in. So it was huge to me, and it still is huge to me. And I remember that day on that stage, I was nervous as hell. Like, I was really nervous the night before and all that. Some people are great speakers and have no nerve. Not me. That was right. I knew all the peers were there. But then I got feeling pretty good and did my little speech, told some fish stories, and thanked everybody else. But I will remember that day for the rest of my life. I mean, to me, being nominated and yeah, the Hall of Fame is pretty cool. It's very humbling, very cool, very awesome for sure.
Yeah, I remember we were in a couple of years before you, I think, Pete. Yeah. 2 years before, but I remember. You know, I remember standing up there and thinking, wow, this is it. And I don't mean that in a negative sort of way, but the only thing that kept coming back to me was, where are all of the viewers? You know what I mean? We were up there in front of our peers, which is fantastic. And that's what this whole Hall of Fame thing is supposed to be. But all I kept thinking of was television, viewers. Why aren't we doing this for them? You know what I'm saying? It was kind of a weird experience. It was humbling for sure, as you just stated, to be recognized by your peers. But I was just thinking, wow, this would have been great had we been out there doing it. And I'll never forget that feeling. But it's always nice when people bring it up. It's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Reno?
Yeah, well, you know, first off, it's an honor, and I do appreciate that whoever nominated, they didn't nominate us separately, by the way. They nominated us as Angelo and Reno Viola. Do you
have a problem with that?
No. But you deserve not at all. But you deserve your recognition, and I think I deserve a little recognition as well. It could have been separate, and it wasn't. It was Reno and Angelo Viola. So when the announcements are made, it's Reno and Angelo Viola, and you know what? I don't feel cheated at all. I feel it's an honor. I feel it's a big achievement to get to be in the Fishing Hall of Fame. So never, ever doubt that, okay? And if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it exactly the same way. It's not a problem. But you and I were going through some things, personal things in ourselves. So when you called me, and I was wintering in Florida at that time, you said they've nominated you for the Sports Fishing Hall of Fame, and it's such and such a date, and you should make an effort to try and get back up here to accept it. And I almost didn't. I was in Florida. And I didn't understand the importance of it because we were in early. But what Andy Pilata did try to do or has done for the fishing industry, okay, a lot of people simply don't even understand it, don't appreciate what he's done. And Andy's doing some of that stuff I'm talking about, uniting the industry or trying to unite the industry. And then sometimes he gets mad and he stops because then nobody's listening. So I'm kind of mixed emotions about that, but I'm happy to have done it. And then once I got up on stage, that's when it hit me. Okay, so gosh, I've been nominated and I'm accepting my award, and I am in the Sports Fishing Hall of Fame. And then I looked up and I saw the other folks that were up there. And Red Fisher was up there. Both the Zoomies were up there, I think. Like I said, we were early on. I think Jim McLaughlin was up there as well. And it's an honor, guys. It's something that not everybody gets to achieve, and I'm so happy that Andy made it happen. So that's my feeling on it.
I understand that we've got that toe piece queued up.
That what?
No.
I understand that it may be doable.
Come on, please.
The toe piece.
Steven, Steven, I want to
the toe piece.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay, roll it.
That was good.
What the hell happened?
It was pretty quick.
All right, we'll try and get it queued up again, because if we can get it, it's worth the effort. Trust me. It's
Hey, do you have anything there about when I had hair, that Muskol commercial, for example?
Oh, we do. They got that one.
We do too. Let's show
I used to
that.
have hair, by the way, a long time ago. It was beautiful hair.
Oh yeah.
And it cost me $3,800 for that beautiful hair.
That's right.
Just so that you know, because I got tired of looking like this. I thought I needed to have hair. And so back then, $3,800 was about the same price as a car.
Whoa!
See, I can't see that, but I hope you enjoyed it, guys.
I can't either.
You know, one of the toughest times to fish is during black fly season. So along with my favorite jigs, I get the insect repellent serious fishermen trust most. Full-strength DEET formula muskol. A little muskol and I've got both hands free to fight fish for up to 8 hours. It's the most effective protection you can buy. Now you can fish all day and be happy you never got a bite. Not a strike from mosquitoes or black flies. Just more fish. Trust me, nothing works better than muskol.
Bugs? What bugs?
Classic moments right there. Oops, lost some audio there. We're obviously having difficulty working through this system that we're broadcasting. You back, Reno?
Oh, yeah, I'm here now.
Okay. Were you able to see that?
No.
Neither
Oh,
was
so
I. I'm wondering if hopefully the audience saw it. Let's see if there's some comments. Make sure they see it too.
Yeah, nice hair piece right there. Okay. Chris Jenner.
Okay. So I saw it. So obviously you two are having problems as usual.
Okay.
When have you two not had problems?
Well, the day that you friggin' get out away from both of us is the day we don't have problems. How's that?
Peter,
Okay?
Peter, I'm going to tell you something. And I know this to be true. So whenever Angelo was on our shoots, the ones you and I did, it was okay. It was all right, but you know what? It was nothing special. The moment we got left behind, okay, ourselves, we had fun.
It was like dragging an anchor out of the boat, Reno, wasn't it, when Hans was there?
Bring it on. Come on. That's it.
Here's the worst part about it. You still have to go through it.
The what?
And the worst part about it is you still have to put up with it.
Oh, on a daily basis, buddy. But that's water up a duck's back. That's what it is.
You know what he's like? He's like, well, you're like a 5-year mortgage from a bank. He's like a 5-year mortgage from a private lender.
Ooh.
You know what? Thank you for the structure, Angelo, but you are tough on yourself, and I don't know what the hell you expect out there. This is not the Gladiator that we're trying to shoot here. It's the Fishing Canada show. And you know what? We had fun, in spite of you sometimes, but we had fun. And That's the important part.
In spite of me, I love it.
Well, sometimes it was in spite of you.
Oh, so
Okay.
I was slowing your progress. In other words,
No, you weren't spoiling our progress at all. No, but listen to me. When he and I are up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because we're up in the Northwest Territories, want to go fishing for the giant lake trout, and we're already having breakfast and stuff, and we got to wait for you till like 9 before we get in the water. Okay, that's fine. You know, you could almost do that. But then we are in the Northwest Territories. Between 9 and 9:30, you could do 4 shows. Okay, there's no question about it. Okay, but for some reason, you want us to work without lunch, without supper, at 11 o'clock till 11 o'clock at night. Where is the mathematics in that?
I don't know, Reno.
There isn't.
Oh, okay, all right. So, and see, you're asking me, you're throwing the bait, and it's like right now I feel like a largemouth bass underneath the dock looking out, and there's that popper just right in front of me. You want me to?
Or Cinco, right?
No, that Cinco would be down below. I'm looking above here, and you want me to jump on it, and I ain't gonna jump on it. You're right.
I don't want you to jump on it. I'm just telling you what life is all about. You're my brother. Thank God you're my brother.
You're absolutely right. The only thing I want to share with the audience, the only story I want to share with the audience, and I told this at our induction, I think. No, it was your retirement party. I shared this story that very few people know. And it'll bring what Reno just said into perspective here. Reno is at the front of every buffet line ever created by man. Okay, there is no way that you will ever, to the front of the buffet line. It is absolutely impossible to do. Doesn't matter what time you get up and set your alarm to go. He's already there. So
no. He has bumped out the odd old lady that was there before him. Okay, just to let you know. Okay, he has butt in front of them. Just in case.
Yeah, tell that story. Tell that story. Go on, tell the story.
You can tell the story better than I can because I'm going to make it sound good. I'm going to make it sound as if I'm Peter.
Give it to us, because we want to hear your. I mean,
you know what? I go to a buffet line to eat. Okay, I don't go there to socialize. Social distancing is good behind me. Okay. I go to the buffet line when they call it's time to eat. There's no time to diddle daddle. Get the hell up in front of the line and get the food. Couple of advantages to being at the front of the line. You get the most choice of the most luscious food because somebody behind you would probably get the piece that you want. So get it. I have bumped out people. Okay.
Yes,
oh yeah.
When I'm flying on airplanes, small airplanes, I like to sit towards the front. I do that. When I want the best seat in the boat, I'm going to get it.
So in keeping with what Rita was saying earlier on these shoots, you know, where he'd be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and in his world, in the perfect world, he could have 1 or 2 shows done before breakfast and then have breakfast and then the day's done, right? The problem is you need to be able to capture those beautiful visuals of Reno's pipes holding those big fishes up under some sort of lighting. You have to have the sun up in order to be able to shoot those things. But that didn't matter. That was always, it's not important. Just shoot me. In the dark is fine. We just got to get it done. We need to get it done now. It doesn't matter what it looks like. We just need to get it done.
Okay.
And I remember,
now hang on. I'd let you guys talk here for an hour. I need to get my time here. So now, in keeping with that philosophy, I spent a decade of my life fishing professionally with Reno. Outside of the fishing show, we did tournaments together. We were a team. I spent a decade doing that. I just told you about Reno's philosophy. First is important. You must be first at everything. How you get there, the quality of it doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant. You must be there before anybody else.
Yeah.
In a tournament situation, to me, my idea of performing in a tournament is that you must have the biggest weight when you go to weigh in. Your goal is to have the biggest weight, the most weight that you can possibly bring in. That's the goal. It doesn't matter what time you weigh in, but you must have weight. Reno was of a different philosophy. With Reno, it doesn't matter whether you weigh anything in or not. What's important is that you're the first one weighing in. And I spent my entire tournament career fighting that every single minute of every single tournament. There you go, Reno. You
All
said
right, let me back that up.
you fleshed the bait out. I gave it to you.
Peter, you're going to back me up on this, please. Let me back that up for you. You're absolutely right. And
I can give you stories. I can give you moments if you want.
Okay. I learned early on that as a fisherman, I'm okay. I'm not the fisherman of fishermen. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just not. I fish okay. I fish for me. I enjoy what it is. As a tournament fisherman, I won a couple of, we won a couple of tournaments, no problem, several tournaments. We're okay. But we're certainly not the cream of the crop then or now. And again, so to me, being on time, especially if I got to run an hour back to the stage, being on time in the stage and being first on stage is very, very important. Let me tell you why. Much like, never mind, I was going to throw a dig, but so we bought these shirts to put logos on, and Pete's wearing the Garmin one today. Okay. The only place where those things are seen, other than right there, Peter, is on a stage. So if I come in 5th or 6th to weigh in, I'm going to get about 3-4 seconds on the stage, especially if I got no fish. Okay. On my end, I've had lots of zero bags. I have. We all went through a learning curve, and so there was lots of times where we had zero fish. But being the sales guy who promised the guys, the people who gave us money to live so our families could eat, I promised them exposure. And I promised them exposure through the Fishing Canada show and through tournament being on stage and our boat being all deckled up. We did that. So part of my philosophy was it was important for us, fish or no fish, to come up and get our 3 or 4 extra minutes on stage that even was probably more than the guy with the big bag got, because he wasn't Reno and Angelo Viola, and we got to talk. And when we got to talk, I mean, there was only, 50, 60 people standing in front of these stages. It's not hundreds, but at least 50, 60 people got to see the logos of who represented us. And to me, that was important to get back. So by you making me want to weigh in 27th, I have no interest in that. So that's why I want to be early. And same with the buffet table. I want the best food. I have to be the loudest noise in the room. That's why today I am an excellent mortgage agent. You understand? Because I put myself out there and I do something good for my customers. I'm not a sheep.
So I think the people that are with us today are starting to see the differences of you two guys in your lifestyles. And I am the only guy, I am the one guy in this earth probably.
And I love you, buddy. I love you.
There's some camera guys that would agree with me. They know a little bit about the combination, but as Nick V quoted on the right there, he says, you're right, Ange is an 11 to an 11. So I'm sure he means 11 in the morning till 11 at night. That's his grandson. He knows. The opposite end is Reno is a 5 to 5 kind of guy. And it's so hard to be in between that when we were on the combination shoots, because it was almost a battle. It always worked out. Like, don't get me wrong, it always worked out. We got up early, we could get out when we could, and we'd fish until we could. But it's so true. And going back to Reno's side of it, which I know now Angelo attests to this, is that Reno was a firecracker from the moment he got out of bed until he went into bed. The problem was he went to bed at 9 o'clock most of those nights. Okay, and the best part is I remember distinctly. It was on. It was an outpost camp, anyways, and Reno would always. We'd just be getting into having a couple beers. We'd be getting into the stories of the day, talking about the fishing or whatever like that. And then all of a sudden, Reno just say, "Okay, boys, I'm out," and he just go to his bed. And these camps always had no ceilings; the rooms were always open. He would be snoring within 3 seconds of his head hitting the pillow, and he would be snoring loud, and we would just die laughing at all that kind of stuff. So we. Truth be told, I mean, he is the early guy and Ange is the late guy. There's no doubt about it. They're so polar opposites in that world.
Did you say he was to bed at 9, Pete, or did I mishear you?
7-ish.
9.
Right after supper.
No. He'd stay with us. He'd stay up with us and play a little bit of cards. He'd have a round of cards, or he'd have a couple of stories, a beer or two, but then that would be it. That's it, boys. I'm out. And when he was out, it was Gandhi. He was gone, and he was.
I want to say two things. Do you guys remember that famous pool game that we had at?
I thought about that the other day.
Fishing Lake Lodge. Do you remember that pool game?
I thought about that yesterday. Honest to God. You know what? We can.
I have to tell him.
No.
I have to tell him. Well, guys, it's you. This is the internet. This is real. There's no staging here. Okay. So we had beans for shore lunch. Okay, and then when we came back to a delicious meal, but when we came back to more beans, and we liked them, and we really ate beans. But within a half an hour, beans were doing what beans do, right? And so we decided before we would go to bed that we were going to have a game of pool. And it was the three of us plus our cameraman, Dave. And Dave was a card. I love Dave too. That was fun. But anyway, I don't know. I think it was Peter, but it could have been me. As went to bend over to make the pool shot, one of us farted. And so we all laughed, ha, 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 ha. Well, the very next guy, and it would have been me or Peter again, one right behind it, he would bend over. He's just going and bend over to make a shot. Ooh, another fart. Anyway, long story short, we probably farted in succession for, I don't know. It took us whatever it takes to play a game of pool. And the very funny part about that, guys, was that obviously this lodge was full. It wasn't just us, and we must have looked like a bunch of hillbillies. But all the rest, not all the rest, but as other guests tried to come into the pool room, they could hear this farting going on. So they would come into the room and go right back out. That was funny, guys. That was really
that was an epic night. That you know what, you're absolutely right. We can't lie about stuff like that. That's a true story, and it happened exactly what Reno was saying. We cut 30 farts and we didn't cut one for sure that night in a row. And the worst part is our cameraman Dave that he's talking about. He never would have ever admitted to farting in his life. He didn't poop. He didn't do any of that stuff in his life. He hated everything to do with it. So he was just going out of his head on that trip. We just those are stupid. Right. Maybe a stupid story to everybody else, but it was funny.
By the way, all fart stories aside, Will Wegman just informed us that a new release from the Ontario government, certain businesses will be allowed to reopen under strict safety guides on Monday, May the 4th.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Let's get on with life. Let's get on with our lives, for God's sakes. Please.
Thanks, Will.
Please. Attaboy, Will.
All right. We've got a million more of these, but I just looked at the old clock on the wall. We've been at this
2.7, two and a half hours almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
still a little much.
And as much as we appreciate everybody hanging in there with us, we know you have lives, I'm sure. We'll pick this up again, Reno. This is not your last try to get it right. Last try to get it right, because you certainly didn't get it right today. Okay, I'm going to give you another shot at getting it right. Some accuracy, please.
Okay. If you brainwash me and then I start bowing to Angelo, okay, then you know I've been brainwashed.
Well, listen, you weren't known as the Boana on these trips for nothing, right?
Well, I am the Boana.
Oh.
I am the Boana, so I don't know why you want to mess with the Boana. I don't get it.
But you know what? The Boana got carried by his people through the jungle on that little cart. Right?
And I never was able to train you guys to do that.
We carried Reno, just not on that thing.
It's been an absolute joy having you on here. We'll make it a regular thing. Want to remind everybody, Tuesdays are Q&As. I want to also remind everybody that Saturdays we do live radio on the Fan 590. You can also listen to it on our website. I believe fishingcanada.com radio has it, but ODJ radio for sure. You can listen live as well as directly with the Fan 590. Fishing Canada show on Global Television Network. Until further notice, it's good to be on. I say until further notice because Pete and I don't know what the hell we're going to be fishing here.
Yeah.
Although now that maybe boat launches are going to open.
Might have us working, buddy. We might be able to get out there again now.
I certainly hope so. I'm starting to smell bad. Let's put it that way.
remember everybody to our social sites too, Fishing Canada, Facebook, Fishing Canada fan page, Answers on my Facebook, all our Instagrams, the whole 9 yards. Keep us informed with the good content we can bring to this show here for sure.
Also want to thank everybody for participating in the fishingcanada.com giveaway each and every month. We just gave away our third of 10 2.5 Mercury 4-stroke outboard motors yesterday. And this time it stayed here in Ontario. Not that there's anything wrong with the rest of you folks outside of the province, but every once in a while, it's nice to have one close to home. We gave away a motor to Aurelia or Barry, I think it was, one of the two.
Nice.
Congratulations. Brian Atkinson, I believe was his name. But keep entering. Just go there. And also, don't forget, and I know I've told you this a million times, we have two separate giveaways going on right now on fishingcanada.com. One is the Merc motor, which is fantastic. And that is being given away every single month from now until December. But every month that you enter, your ballot stays in the box, even though you didn't win that month. It goes towards next month. So the more ballots you can put in the drum, and that's available to you every 24 hours, plus all kinds of bonus code opportunities to get extra ballots in. But every month it just keeps accumulating. So you can never go wrong until it's all over. Make sure that you enter each and every day if you can. And also, it's important to point out that the boat motor trailer sweepstakes, the Princecraft Yukon boat with the Mercury EFI motor, that is a separate contest. If you enter it, does not mean that you've entered into the Mercury motor contest. You must enter into both of them in order to qualify for either of them. So don't think that one ballot gets you done, right? It doesn't. You have to enter into both contests separately while you're there at fishingcanada.com. Reno, have you got your entries in there, by the way?
There's probably some sort of rule. I hope you wrote some sort of rules that relatives and ex-employees and stuff like that can't win, right?
I think so.
Denied, buddy. Denied.
I was just checking to make sure there was no cheating going on.
In the meantime, I can do mortgages for relatives too. So just anytime.
I love you, brother. You're the best.
All right, folks. I want to thank everybody. We like Reno said, please excuse us not answering each one of you as you post up your little messages, but it's not because we didn't want to. But today was really a homecoming for us and walking down memory lane, and we did get a little carried away. I do agree, but hey, that's to be expected. But we'll try and do this more often.
But if you want more of the silliness, it will get better.
Got nowhere to go but better, right, boys?
We appreciate it, guys. Take care, and we'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Before you guys go, before you guys go, I have the tow queued up if you want to.
Oh, can we do it? We'll go out on the tow video. How's that?
Perfect. We have the tow video.
Thanks for watching.
I grew up watching Reno Viola on television. He was always professional and seemed to know what he was doing. But deep down inside, I knew when the cameras were off, he was a real comedy actor. And in fact, when I joined the company, my first shoot was with Reno. I was a little nervous and thought I might mess things up. But as you will soon see, Reno Viola is not all work and no play. The story he told me about how he lost his baby toe was one of the funniest things I have ever heard in my life.
Years ago, I had a construction accident where I lost one of my baby toe. I thought I'd tell him the story, but I'd be sitting on the end of a dock and a muskie came up and bit my toe off. Of course, he didn't bite. He thought I was BSing him. Anyways, I continued to tell him about the story, and he says, no, I'm not really believing you. And I pulled off my sandal, and I showed him. Well, when he saw it, his eyes became like saucers, and he started laughing.
Man, that monkey, that monkey bit it right off. Oh, boy, isn't it? We're still itchy.
Oh, God, no. Hey, Reno! Oh, my God! What the hell happened to you there? Oh. I got tears in my glass.
That was one of the funniest moments we've ever captured on tape for sure. My God, brings back great memories, doesn't it?
Sure does.
It sure does if I could see it.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys still didn't see it.
Well, we haven't seen anything. Our crew sucks.
Hey, listen, it's fun. It's just as well that I can see it because it can never be as good as it was that moment live. I wish Mike was here.
Yeah, no kidding, guy. That's classic.
All right, guys, we got to go. This is insane. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And like I said, we'll be here twice a week from here on in during this whole fiasco. Once we get on the road, who knows? We may do these from the road. I'm not sure. But for now, let's enjoy. Thank you. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Come along to our cabin in the wild, 'cause we're in for some good fishing. Feeling easy, feeling free. Yes, we're in for some good fishing, Canada. Come on, leave your worries far behind where they belong, 'cause we're in for some good fishing. Yeah, they just bite